Two critical races here for governor and for Senate. Let's first look at these brand new numbers from CNN in a new poll conducted by SSRS in the gubernatorial contest between Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum and Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis. Take a look at this. We are showing among likely voters a 12-point advantage for Gillum, 54% to 42%.
And we have another winner who is about to speak.
Florida Governor-elect Ron DeSantis joins us live.
Final NBC News Marist polls of tomorrow's statewide races in Florida. Andrew Gillum, the Democratic mayor of Tallahassee, is at 50%, 4 points ahead of Republican Ron DeSantis at 46%.
We've just gotten results in now from the state of Florida, big governor's race in the state of Florida, where the Democratic candidate Andrew Gillum has just conceded to Ron DeSantis, the Republican candidate.
Take a look at the race according to the gender gap, and I think this helps explain why we're seeing such a big Gillum lead in this poll. Look at that. 60% of women are going for Gillum. That is a 26-point advantage.
The pundits kind of rule for, almost 2 years, except that one Tuesday in November where the people get to speak. It doesn't matter what the pundits say. It doesn't matter what the media says. They don't get to set the agenda. The people of the state of Florida had an opportunity to set the agenda, and they responded to our message.
Right here in Florida.
It's so positive, it's jarring. It was the Obama show in Miami today. No Democrat does it quite like the 44th president. He was stumping for Bill Nelson and Andrew Gillum, who's now ahead of his Republican opponent in the race for governor by almost 3 points in the polling average.
Do you feel the weight of history on your shoulders?
I try not to think about that in that way, but I do think that my election could be the ultimate clapback to Donald Trump and divisive politics.
We are calling this race for the next governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Things I should say in those polls you just showed to me are, number one, Gillum continues to lead.
Yeah.
Every poll I've seen of this matchup has had him ahead.
Has been ahead from
the beginning. Yep. Every poll, and I think he's dragging Nelson along.
I think
I think Nelson is in his draft.
And it hollered through this room.
That was only the beginning of the answer of the century from Florida Democratic candidate for Governor Andrew Gillum in a debate against his opponent, Republican Ron DeSantis. Now, check out the entire clip that basically just ended DeSantis' political career. We have a better chance of seeing Roy Moore getting hired as a substitute teacher than for DeSantis to come back from this.
Florida will have a Republican governor for another 4 years. GOP candidate Ron DeSantis beat out his Democratic challenger Andrew Gillum.
Gillum does look right now like he has a little bit of space between himself and DeSantis, and he's back to where he was before the Kavanaugh hearings, looking pretty good against a guy who, as Kristen said, ran a scorched earth campaign, a Donald Trump campaign to win the primary. Maybe that works in Idaho. Probably doesn't work in the state of Florida.
Florida Senate race, we are also seeing that Democratic enthusiasm that we're seeing nationally play out here as well. We show among likely voters in this poll a race that is within the margin of error and will likely remain so, but has Nelson on top with 50% to Governor Rick Scott's 45%.
A new round of polling this weekend shows a bit of a tilt toward Democrats. The CNN SSRS poll has Democratic Senator Bill Nelson with a 5-point lead over Republican Governor Rick Scott, 50% to 45% among likely voters. Then in the governor's race, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum is ahead by 12 points over Republican Ron DeSantis, 54% to 42%.
You have both Democratic candidates breaking pretty hard with 2 weeks to go.
Yeah, and I do want to see some more here just in terms of the outlier potential. But I would say overall, you're right. I mean, since the primary, it's been very consistent. Gillum has consistently led the governor's race. This is the largest margin I've seen him have a lead by, but he's consistently been ahead there.
Despite the rave reviews that Rick Scott has gotten for his handling of Hurricane Michael and its aftermath, CNN's most recent poll still shows Bill Nelson with a significant edge in the race.
Show of force in Miami today with Election Day now just 4 days away. Former President Barack Obama, Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum, and U.S. Senator Bill Nelson just wrapped up what they were calling the winning ticket rally in Miami.
Business Insider reports that Florida Governor Rick Scott won the U.S. Senate race in Florida, upsetting Democratic incumbent Senator Bill Nelson.
Tracking poll puts President Trump's approval rating
to 40%. That's 16 points below his disapproval rating, which is at 56%.
Phil Bredesen in the lead, but only by 1 point. That's well within the poll's margin of error.
Taylor Swift broke her silence on politics over the weekend, publicly backing 2 Democrats in Tennessee, where she votes. She announced in an Instagram post that she will vote for former Governor Phil Bredesen. Now, Swift expressed strong opposition to the Republican Senate candidate Marsha Blackburn.
Last time he was up for re-election. He's running as an independent, very moderate type of messaging, and he seems to be striking a chord, and all of the polling of late has seemed to indicate that it remains a very, very close race. And he faces off against Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn.
CBS News projects a winner in the state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Okay. Part of the Year of the Woman, and this a Republican woman heading to the United States Senate. She has been a congresswoman there.
It's a very, very close race.
Former governor of that state. And Marsha Blackburn running as a conservative, a Trump conservative in a state that elected Al Gore.
Hot off the presses right now in the key Indiana Senate race. We've got the incumbent Democratic senator with a very narrow lead, 3 points in a 3-way race, according to our new NBC News Mayor's poll of likely voters.
Breaking news right now here on CBS. CBS News projects that Democrats have lost a Senate seat that Republicans have picked up. A seat in the Hoosier state, Indiana. Mike Braun is the winner in the state of Indiana.
And this is interesting. Head-to-head, the poll has Donnelly ahead 48 to 46% over Braun, with 7% undecided. But let's compare that to the last NBC Marist poll, which had Donnelly ahead by 6%, 49-43% last September.
Guys, everybody look. Claire McCaskill pulling into the lead as she seeks a 3rd term. Come on, Claire, 50% to Attorney General Josh Hawley's 47%. My Lord.
Polling has shown Donnelly ahead in Indiana as well. Yeah. There's a chance McCaskill survives in Missouri and Donnelly survives in Indiana.
Josh Hawley runs away with it. Again, it was supposed to be a dead heat, beating out long-term Senator Democrat Claire McCaskill. Again, she voted no on Kavanaugh.
President Obama went to Georgia from Florida today to campaign for Stacey Abrams for governor in Georgia. Both sides know it's all going to come down to turnout in the Georgia race, where it is tied.
Secretary of State with a minimal lead over Democrat candidate Stacey Abrams.
This is one state in Arizona, actually, where a Democrat is holding on to a tight lead. That's Democrat Representative Kyrsten Sinema challenging Congresswoman Martha McSally, the Republican. In a state President Trump carried 49% to Hillary Clinton's 45%. Now,
people are watching a few races that are just too close to call at this point. In Arizona, the Senate race between Republican Martha McSally and Democrat Kyrsten Sinema in a dead heat.
Wow. You know, McSally wasn't even leading in any of the polls leading up to that. In Georgia, Republican Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams are neck and neck in the battle for governor. If nobody gets to 50, they have a run up December 4th.
Voters, the survey done by St. Norbert College Strategic Research Institute polled 664 registered voters in Wisconsin, finding 47% plan to vote for Democrat Hillary Clinton, while 37% said they're voting for Republican Donald Trump.
CNN now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Wisconsin. He will win Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes.
Hillary Clinton widening her lead in the latest national polls. Our new CNN poll of polls, that is the average of the last 4 polls, shows what you see on your screen. Clinton at 47, with Trump 8 points behind. Clinton has gained 2 points. Trump has dropped 2 since the last poll of polls.
The trends that we've seen all along are that Trump is sort of stuck in the high 30s, low 40s. Clinton is stuck, or, happily stuck in the mid 40s to high 40s, not over 50%, which would be the point at which we really say, stick a fork in. Trump has no path to victory.
In the end, many times voters get more enthusiastic if they think you're going to win. So as she looks like she has a lead in the polls, which I think is around 6 or 7, not 12, I think it's more like 6 or 7, that actually helps among her voters to get more enthusiastic.
And what would Donald Trump have to do to turn things around?
Prayer. I think it's a very difficult prospect. After his sort of weekend of airing his grievances, he needs to be a little bit like Kramer and Seinfeld and hope for a Festivus miracle.
Donald Trump is the president
of the United States.
Hello, America! This is Pastor Mark Burns here, and I want to tell you I am so excited to see you at this year's America's Priority Conference in Washington, D.C. I want you to buckle your seatbelt and get ready for an explosive time where we are placing the priorities of the American citizen first. Get ready to unite this nation behind the Make America Great Again policies that our president has been preaching from day one. I want to tell you, this is a time of unification. And as I said from day one, despite the color you are born with, here in America, the only colors that matter are the red, the white, and the blue. I'll see you at America's Priority Conference in Washington, D.C. There's only the one color that matters, and that is the color of red, white. Focusing on the colors that unite us, USA.
From the Smyth Radio studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smyth Radio. You can tweet at Smyth Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
No, don't do that.
What?
Oh, was that... Oh, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smyth Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all the late-breaking news, wrapping it all up, explaining it to you, telling you what they're trying to really say, what they really want you to believe, talking about the fake news, exposing it, telling you about the real news, because that's what they want to hide, especially on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thanksgiving was a couple days ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we only do our show. This is Smyth Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. We go live every Sunday evening, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And we have an explosive show today, the most guests that we have ever had in one sitting. We're going to jam-pack it in there and try and get it all done. Our first guest that will be coming up, if you haven't heard, maybe you're under a rock or you're not on Twitter, Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer, citizen journalist, a friend of ours, friend of the show. She's been on the show a couple times. She was banned from Twitter for exposing a Muslim politician. And she'll be here at the bottom of the hour, 5:30-ish, scheduled for 5:30. And then we also will have I look at the show notes. I'm sorry, folks. We will have Deanna Lorraine is slated to be on the show as well. She's the author of Make Love Great Again and a Millennial. She's been on the show before. All these ladies, all these women that we're having on the show tonight, because we're not misogynist. We love the ladies.
I just, you know what? Until you said something, I didn't realize that all four of our guests are women. That's okay. That works.
So Deanna Lorraine, so all these ladies that we have on the show tonight are all guest speakers in one capacity or another at the American Priorities Conference coming up December 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you saw, well, if you saw the intro to the show, Pastor Mark Burns did a video clip, a shout-out clip for American Priorities Conference. This thing has gotten so big, it's garnered the attention of the President of the United States.
All right.
I mean, everybody that's anybody that knows about anything is involved in it. We had Brandon Struck on last week, hashtag Walk Away Movement. He's going to be there. I mean, there's just so many people that are going to be there. And if you're looking at the bottom of the screen, AmericanPriority.com, go to that website. Keep us on audio so you can continue to listen to the show. But go to the website and get your tickets. Snatch them up very, very quick because there are limited amount of tickets.
Yes. And check out the agenda link at the top. And when you scroll down, you'll see the list of everybody that is slated to either speak or have some kind of event there. And, I didn't really know because there's a lot of people that are going to be there. So I never really saw it all together. And when you see the entire array of people coming, you're just like, oh my gosh, who's not going to be there?
Right.
Everybody's going to be there.
Don't you be that person that's not there.
Don't be the one. Don't be the one. It is going to be something else. It's going to be historic, and it's going to be something that is people look back and wonder if you've been to the first one, because there will be many to come, I'll tell you. And
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it, and we will be there, right?
Absolutely. Smyth Radio will be there. And if this is the first time you've been on the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Brian Smith. Back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force. This is my cousin, Carrie. Back in the 90s, he was in the Marine Corps. We've been talking politics for probably about the last 15 to 20 years. And about 5 years ago, we couldn't take it anymore after the re-election of Obama. And a couple years passed, we figured we had to document the demise of America because nobody was going to believe what happened and how it went down. Like, we had our sneaky suspicions.
It makes me wonder if people listening right now remember how bad it really was.
Oh, it was so bad.
It was so bad. So now, by comparison,
a light's been shed on it. Now we've seen the truth and it's being exposed. And that's what we've been doing for the last 5 years. We've been audio, and you can still get the audio on iHeartRadio. Go iHeart.smithradio.com. And this year, because of our great Patreons, thank you very, very much, we've been video on the Vimeo.com/Smyth Radio, Smyth Radio website. And if you're on the Smyth Radio, SMYTH Radio.com website, right there you can see the show. It's live. It's going live. Right next to the show is the big giant letter P. And it's American flag waved in the letter P. That'll take you to American Priorities Conference as well. And then right next to that letter P, that people are starting to find very easily, is the new shop that one of our Patreons put up. Thank you very much, Vessi. That was so awesome.
Awesome.
Some great patriotic leggings for the ladies. I'm not lying.
Leggings?
Leggings for the ladies. Smyth
Okay.
Radio leggings for the ladies. Patriotic leggings. And there's a discount code and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, folks.
Christmas is coming, folks. Christmas is
Without
coming.
a doubt. So with that being said, folks, our goal, our agenda here on Smyth Radio is to bring to you real news and expose the fake news, to give you life lessons and history lessons about what really went down in history and how they're trying to rewrite it. And we set the record straight.
And we do it from a military veteran standpoint. Brian was in the Air Force and I was in the Marine Corps. And I think that's a unique thing. You don't see that a lot. There's so many podcasts out there, and there's some veterans out there, but that's something that we cherish our experience in for me in the Marines, for him in the Air Force, and I feel like we bring a perspective to a lot of these political topics that's just a little different.
Well, not only that, but when we had Gary Byrne, the Secret Service agent who wrote the book Crisis of Character,
right?
When we had him on the show a couple of times, we were able to talk with him in a way that I don't think.
Well, we understand what he's saying. Like we can kind of visualize what he was going through. So anyway,
and somewhere around the show, I believe in the first hour, at the end of the first hour, we're going to have Martha Bonetta on. She is a faith, family, freedom, politics, and policy. She's on Fox News as well, and she is a part of this American Priorities Conference with Lipstick and Liberty.
Okay.
Women for Trump, and it's going to be a luncheon for the ladies. You don't want to miss it. And obviously go to AmericanPriorities.com, jump over there, and you can... There you go. And jump over there and you get your tickets for that event. You don't want to miss that. She'll be on again by the second hour. Corey Lewandowski and David Bose will both be keynote speakers at the American Priorities Conference.
It's Bossy. Sorry about
damn
that. But it's the way you had it spelled, so yeah.
Okay.
David Bossy
will be keynote speakers at American Priorities Conference, and you can get private VIP personalized tickets to hang out with them prior to the luncheon.
Oh, cool.
And you'll get to hang out with us as well, and you'll get a personal signed copied book from Corey Lewandowski. You'll be able to talk with him and hang out. I believe it's only slated for 25 people.
Oh, wow.
25 people for the private VIP.
You might have to get it right now.
Yeah.
You might have to get it right now.
And so, but Corey's not going to be on the show, but I'm just making that point that him and boss David Bossy both have a luncheon together as well and be keynote speakers. But Magdalene Rose, who's been on the show before, she is absolute firecracker.
If she's listening right now, don't blush, but this woman is brilliant.
7 o'clock she'll be on.
Yeah, brilliant. You can't miss it. If you haven't heard of Magdalene Rose, there's something, she's a freshman in college, and the stuff that she says is just like, I don't know. I can't believe I was nowhere near that when I was 18. I don't think I'm anywhere near that now. So
no, I still learn from her as well. We absolutely.
I'm learning from an 18-year-old.
Yes,
there you
absolutely. Magdalene Rose, the bio, if you will, on her Twitter account says, "I make 2 minute and 20-second max videos. I really don't want to live under socialism. #WalkAwayMarch. Speakers support my work," and she's also got a PayPal.me. It's Magdalene Rose as well. And these are the young up and coming speakers. And
right.
Folks, if you've Donald Trump's the Trump prophecies, if you will, if you've seen those, if you heard about those, the one prophecy that hasn't come to fruition yet is the news media starts to agree with Donald Trump. I've been saying all along, no, we do agree with Donald Trump. You're right here. It's the new news media, folks.
There you go.
So those are the speakers that'll be on, the guests that'll be on tonight's show, jam-packed. We're also going to talk about the updates and everything going on with the invasion down on the border of Mexico. There's some breaking news this afternoon that we'll get into, as well as Jim Hoff has got some things to say about Jim Hoff of GatewayPundit.com has some things to say about the Fed. And for some damn reason, global warming is making...
Oh, my gosh, the Friday report. If you haven't heard about this now, a lot of people may not have. And in fact, proponents of global warming or climate change, whatever you want to call it, are crying foul because it came out on the Friday of Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and it was said to have been buried in the holiday weekend so that nobody could see it. It doesn't matter. It's hilariously false. And by the way, we have Brian may not even know this. Did a little research on that. What you will find out will shock you. Yes, it is shocking because they're really doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the global warming being real, not being a hoax. And I was thinking, oh gosh, here we go. We're going to be battling back and forth with scientists who have little white lab coats, and they're going to look so official. Come to find out, it's more of a hoax than you could ever imagine. So we'll get into that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, just here in a few minutes, we're going to have the first interview that I know of, an exclusive with Laura Loomer, and just recently banned the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday night, banned off Twitter for speaking truth to power. We've got her tweet. I'll show it to you. I mean, it's truth to power, exposing Islam for what it is. I just don't get it, folks. I don't get why they're doubling down on Islam and why they want to protect it so much. But we'll get into all that and much, much more. But breaking news, just as we get into the show, George Papadopoulos, Papadopoulos was scheduled to be at the American Priorities Conference.
Right.
Breaking news today. He will not be there at the American Priorities Conference.
Did he back out? What?
No, his wife's going to be there. She's going to cover for him.
Okay.
He's going to federal prison.
Oh man, the deep state got him finally.
Yep, Papadopoulos was mandated to go to prison immediately. Tomorrow, when I say immediately, Monday he's supposed to report to prison, and he went in front of a federal judge, and a federal judge rejected the bid today to delay the prison sentence. They want this guy really shut up. They want him locked down. And if you don't know who George Papadopoulos was, he was the original person that was spied on, tricked, lied to, and spied on by the deep state.
Whoa!
Who's that?
Laura's trying to call.
Oh.
Do you have the right link for her? She must be having trouble. Well, if you're listening right now, Laura, we are frantically getting a link for you. I'm assuming you you tried to call to
Yep. Tell her to hit that link and use the code.
She said she needs a new meeting ID. Or she needs the meeting ID.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, I'll write down. You keep going.
Okay. So we'll have Laura Loomer on in just a split second.
Oh, it disappeared.
I know. I don't know why it... Just a split second. Sorry about the technicalities, folks. This is out of the profession. Mr. Producer, what do we have going on, Mr. Producer? Anyways, as we speak here, again, folks, thank you so much for Patreons. Thank you very much for this year, helping us get to some of the events in Washington, D.C., and now we will be going to American Priorities Conference in D.C., December 6th. There it is. December 6th, 7th, and 8th in December. Get your tickets, AmericanPriorityConference.com. Get them now. Oh, manage. We just, I guess, split second she'll be in. We just hold on. Laura Loomer, folks, banned on Twitter for tweeting out about a Muslim woman in Minnesota that was elected to...
She's a congressman.
It's Congress. Elected to Congress. And she's very controversial in the sense that she has claimed to hate all white men and say white men. Yeah, she in a statement she said white men should be locked up because they will never submit to Islam.
To Sharia or
to
Islam?
Sharia law, Islam.
Okay.
Yeah, white American men.
And she also made some campaign promises that sounded like she was not going to impose her Muslim beliefs into.
There we go. There we go.
All right, awesome.
All right, so we are having Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer is on Smyth Radio. Can you hear me, Laura?
I can hear you.
Awesome. And we can hear you. You are live.
All right, let me patch this in.
Hold on 1 second.
One second.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Okay. I muted you for a second. So anyway, we're going to have Laura Loomer on very, very shortly, and she will tell us all about what happened to her with Twitter and what she's going to do at the American Priority Conference, and just give us the rundown. It'll be awesome.
In the American Priority Conference, she's going to be a speaker there, and she's actually slated to speak about social media,
the Internet Bill of Rights.
Yeah, the Internet Bill of Rights and freedom of speech. And ironically, for free speech, she gets the lockdown on Twitter.
Oh, it seems like it never ends. So, Laura, you about ready? All right, so.
Can you see me?
Yes, absolutely. I had you muted for a second there because it sounded like you were getting ready. All right, so Laura Loomer is on. Welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm all right. How's it going?
Oh, it's okay here. So, I mean, you've been getting abused by social media left and right, and
right.
So what happened? So, is this the first time? I remember when you got a blue check, and then they took that from you, and we were all kind of scratching our heads. You may be the first person that I know of that had a blue check, and it was used as a punishment by taking it away from you, which. That just kind of flew in the face of their entire idea of a blue check, of being a verified account and everything like that. And then fast forward, and now you are suspended. We originally thought you were suspended indefinitely or maybe permanently. And is that still the case?
Yeah, I'm permanently banned from Twitter, and then I'm banned from Facebook for 30 days.
Oh, it was the Facebook for 30 days. Okay.
Now, what was Facebook for? Was it for the same thing or something different?
I don't know. They didn't give me a reason. They said that it was hate speech, but they didn't give me a reason.
Did you put anything on Facebook that was similar to like a Facebook post that was similar to the tweet that they're citing? So they're basically.
They didn't give me any explanation. I don't even know why I was banned from Facebook. So they said a message popped up, and it's obviously an act of collusion because they did it at the same time as Twitter, just like they did with Alex Jones, and they didn't give me a reason. And then Twitter's reason is a BS reason as well, because they said it was hate speech, but I was pointing out facts about a congresswoman and her positions, all of which is backed up by her own words and her own policies and things that she's voted on. So I don't know how truth and her own positions are, make what I'm saying hate speech. If anything, that should make her behavior hate speech and hateful behavior. But it's very confusing. I don't really know. It's clear. It's clear that this is just a form of political bias and political censorship that's being carried out by these tech companies, because I don't even think their rules matter anymore. They're just banning people for posting facts. I mean, there was an article that came out that said that they're now banning people for saying that there's two genders. So if you say there's only two genders, you'll get banned from Twitter now. You'll get banned because I guess that's hate speech against transgender people.
And we have the tweet here that you put up. You want to go ahead and read that, Carrie? This is the actual tweet that Laura Loomer put out that apparently it's hate speech.
So this, your tweet says, "Isn't it ironic how the Twitter moment used to celebrate women, LGBTQ, and minorities is a picture of Omar, who's the congresswoman who just recently got elected in Minnesota. She is pro-Sharia, pro-FGM under Sharia. Homosexuals are oppressed and killed. Women are abused and fired to wear the hijab. She is anti-Jewish." Maybe that was a spell check. Forced. Okay. Forced to wear the hijab and is anti-Jewish. So they considered that hate speech.
Yeah, but everything I said is 100% true. Ilhan Omar voted against legislation that would have made female genital mutilation a felony. Ilhan Omar has been even criticized by the ADL. Even the liberal Jews are calling her out for her anti-Semitism because she said that Israel has hypnotized the world. And then she came out after being elected and said she's in favor of the BDS movement, which is essentially a boycott on Jewish businesses. This lady is a Jew hater. She is anti-Jewish, and she is pro-Sharia, and she is pro-Hamas. And when I asked her on camera, when I confronted her in Minnesota to disavow Hamas, she refused. So, everything I said is 100% true, and I can show you in her own words and her own voting history and her own social media and her own statements. But of course, I think facts are now bannable offenses, according to Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, and I think what happens is, and this is just me speculating here, but it is a fact that liberals have made certain classes of people. If you fall into a certain class that they define, then you could be considered a protected class of people, and it turns into a quagmire when you have to protect somebody for being an anti-Semite, because they fall under a protected class. And that's kind of what ends up happening here. So you're calling her out for clear anti-Jewish rhetoric or whatever, and because she is considered a protected class by liberals, or by Jack Dorsey in particular, it ends up being that a Jewish woman gets banned from Twitter because there's pushback there. And then the Facebook thing is unbelievable, because since you didn't do a similar post on Facebook, it sounds to me like de facto part of Facebook's terms of service is that you cannot violate Twitter's terms of service.
I don't know, or it's collusion, right? They like to accuse conservatives of collusion, but it seems like they are, because I don't really think that's a coincidence that on Thanksgiving I get banned by Twitter and Facebook at the same time, the same way they did to Alex Jones. They're obviously taking us out in an effort to shut us down, and they're suspending a lot of people. It seems like Liz Crokin was suspended from Twitter today as well. And
our buddy Ali.
Oh yeah, he got
Ali did it even a little too far, but
there's a microscope. There's a microscope on every conservative, and of course they're going to construe everything or anything. I mean, Milo got banned for his followers.
It wasn't even him; it was the people that followed him that harassed the actress of the awful.
The Ghostbusters remake,
So Paul Joseph Watson tweeted out just this past couple of days, said, "We're spewing actual race hate." Sarah Jong, the editorial board of the New York Times, gets you verified, and when you start criticizing female genital mutilation, Laura Loomer, gets you suspended. I mean, this truly is the world of 1984. Am I right?
Yeah, and it's only getting worse, and it's really scary if you think about it, because now these companies, they have so much power. Well, what's happening next? It's almost biblical, right? When up is down, down is up, and black is white. It just seems like everything is totally backwards now, and it's only going to get worse because these companies are monopolies. They have monopolies, and not just social media, but if you look at Google, they're so intertwined in so many different aspects of society. And when you look at somebody like Jeff Bezos, for example, the richest man in the world, and all of the power he has, well, he's driving so many people out of business. He is ruining people's lives with the monopoly that he has and the power that he has. He's making it so that these companies have the power to shut down businesses, small businesses, and that everything has to be done electronically or digitally through Amazon or through online stores. Well, what's going to happen when Jeff Bezos, who we know is anti-Trump, we know that Jeff Bezos is, anti-conservative, when he decides, well, now that I've acquired all this power and I control everything online, I'm not going to sell anything to conservatives.
Or make you pay an extra fee.
Grocery store.
Right.
He even has. They're trying to make grocery shopping digital so that you don't buy groceries in the store anymore. So what's going to happen? Are they going to say, "Oh, you're conservative. I'm not going to sell groceries to you"? I mean, it sounds crazy, but we are headed down that road right now.
I don't know if. And I don't know if either of you saw this, but just today, maybe just a couple hours ago, Paul Joseph Watson came out with a video exposing that very thing happening in China. They're having a social credit score, that will prevent you from being able to travel, purchase things, have perks of society if you have a low social score, and your behavior and your speech and just everything that you do will affect your social score, your social credit score. And so it's already happening in China. And he points out in his video that it really is essentially happening because of the way that Twitter and Facebook and Google, YouTube, and as you say, Amazon is probably going to go down that path because of their founder being a Trump hater. That it ends up being that we're kind of already pretty far down that path.
Yeah, I think that it's only going to get worse, especially going into 2020. And I hope that Donald Trump and his administration does something soon.
Interesting.
Because I don't understand. I don't know how Donald Trump expects to win a second term when all of his biggest supporters and people who helped him win in the first place are being shut down for simply supporting him. I mean, our lives are getting ruined. We're being shut down. We're being ostracized. We're being threatened. We're having all of everything that we've ever worked for, our platforms, everything taken from us simply because we supported President Trump. And I think he really has a duty to step in and do something about this because it's a civil rights violation at this point in time, too. These companies need to be treated like public utilities because if they control so many aspects of your life and basically have the final say as to whether or not you're going to operate as a journalist or whether or not you can make an income, well, how is that fair? So are we not allowed to have conservative journalists anymore because you're just going to get banned from social media? Well, in order to be a journalist in this day and age, you need social media.
Absolutely.
So how is it fair to somebody like myself who went to school and I have student loans because I went to school for journalism? I have a degree in broadcast communication and political science. Am I now never going to be able to have a job in media because I'm not allowed to use social media?
So does your lawsuit come into play with this? I mean, I know you probably can't talk about that much.
Well, I don't want to get into that right now because I'm still, consulting with several lawyers about this. But
I think that you certainly have
to think about. Right. And not only am I banned from Facebook and Twitter, but I'm also banned from Uber and Lyft.
What?
You see a lot of these companies that are now like Google, for example. They don't want humans to be able to drive cars anymore. They want smart cars, and that's what Google's working for. And they want these cars that drive themselves. Well, that sounds kind of like an Uber service or a Lyft service when you start having these cars that drive themselves, or you have apps that have cars where they pick you up if you want to go somewhere. Well, am I never going to be able to travel? Am I never going to be able to have transportation because of my speech and what I believe?
I guarantee it'll be no.
What if I didn't have a car and I couldn't get anywhere besides Uber or Lyft? Am I just supposed to be stranded? And what's interesting is there's a lot of anti-Semitism that revolves around this. I was first kicked out of an Uber on Rosh Hashanah with my friend Dr. Jane Ruby by a Muslim driver. I'm a Jew. There are multiple instances of Jews being kicked out of Ubers by Muslim drivers. Well, wow. I got banned several months later by Uber when I spoke out after one of their drivers, who was an ISIS terrorist attack, used a car, and he didn't even have a valid license, and he killed 8 people in New York City in an ISIS-style terrorist attack. And I got banned by Uber and Lyft for criticizing that. All right. Well, the CEO of Uber is a Muslim. He's an Iranian. He hates America. He hates Trump. He hates conservatives. He probably hates Jews, too. And if you look at this case with Twitter, you have a Jewish journalist who's getting banned for criticizing a Muslim congresswoman who is hateful towards Jews, hateful towards gays, hateful towards America. And there's a very concerning element to this. It seems like these big tech companies hate Jews. And when you look at the ownership and you look at the breakdown of who owns and who's funneling in the most money to these companies, they're Muslims. Twitter's second largest shareholder is a Saudi prince who also happens to be one of the biggest financiers of terrorism in the world. Oh. How is this acceptable?
Yeah, and I'd like to point out, too, as I'm listening to you say all this stuff, it's not like you just randomly started criticizing our new congresswoman from Minnesota because she's Muslim. This was not an unprovoked attack by you. This was her lying to her constituents, to her voters, and then being anti-Semitic.
Exactly.
So in a way, you're just responding to her speech and rhetoric.
And I've been investigating this lady for months now. I went to Minnesota and confronted her, and I've been investigating her and reporting on her Jew hatred and her antics for a long time now. And so, I don't like how they're calling it hate speech, because it seems like they're setting a precedent where you're not allowed to criticize Muslims or Democrat politicians. And so is Twitter going to ban everybody who said something nasty about President Trump? I wasn't even saying anything nasty. I was just pointing out the hypocrisy of this woman being a symbol for minority rights and for LGBTQ and women, when all of her policies are actually very detrimental to those groups of people. So I find it to be discriminatory. There's clear-cut bias. I think that's obvious. I mean, even Jack Dorsey himself admitted that Twitter has a left-leaning bias. Twitter employees were caught on camera by Project Veritas. They're on video admitting that they censor, they shadow ban, and they target conservatives and Trump supporters. I mean, for crying out loud, they deleted President Trump's Twitter account for several minutes in an act of retaliation. All right. So we need to just accept it. There is bias at Twitter. There's bias at Facebook. They hate conservatives, and it's only going to get worse. And something needs to be done. These companies are monopolies. Everything that you do now is tied in with Facebook or Twitter. I downloaded a fitness app today. All right. And I went to go sign on to get a customized workout plan. This is how scary it is. All right. And I couldn't do my workout because it said that you had to have Facebook to sign in. That's like their law. And so when you go to log in, it says, oh, well, you are like suspended from participating in this feature. So
oh my gosh.
Think about it. Dating apps are now used to log in from Facebook. Workout apps, food delivery. I can't even get Uber Eats. So if I'm stranded and the only way to get food is Uber delivery, I can't do it because I'm banned from Uber.
Well, not only that,
people understand like how unconstitutional this is and how scary things are getting when these companies control, basic factors of survival. What happens if I'm stranded and I'm in a very dangerous situation and the only way that I can escape is by ordering an Uber, but I can't because I'm banned.
Right. And you talk about the Google being able to have these driverless cars. I guarantee you that in order to get it, you have to log into your Google account. And don't think for a second that a conservative is not going to start. They're not going to start banning your Google accounts. Now, you bring up the constitutional and unconstitutionality of this. Obviously, this is going to be the pitch that's going to have to be made when it comes to an Internet Bill of Rights. Can you give us you're going to speak about this at the American Priorities Conference. Can you give us a sneak peek of what kind of pitch you're going to make for that? Because that's very controversial. There's conservatives that
I will be speaking at the American Priority Conference, and who knows, by then, several of the people speaking at the conference alongside me may be banned themselves. But I'm going to be speaking on the topic of citizen journalism and now also social media censorship. And I'm not going to back down. I am going to, deal with this with litigation, and I am going to keep fighting to expose this. And other people in the meantime will help me get my content out, but I'm not going to back down. Just because they want to shut me down on Twitter or shut me down on Facebook doesn't mean they're going to silence my voice. They're not going to stop my ideas from thriving. They're not going to stop me from luring people or going out there and exposing jihadis and calling out Sharia and confronting these jihadi congresswomen, or the Hamas caucus, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they think this is an effective form of killing an idea, because you can silence me on a platform, but my ideas will still prosper. And unless you sew my mouth shut, or unless you put a bullet in my head, you're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop.
Not only that, but there's other folks like us and Brandon Strucka. I know that you'll be on his show later on tonight. We had Brandon Strucka on the show last week. He's going to be at the American Priorities Conference as well. Yeah. And it'll be folks like us that will continue to back you.
Oh yeah, we're going to fight with you,
work with you, and fight with you side by side through this nightmare that's become 1984 all over again.
It's going to happen to any of us, and I actually feel like it's an inevitability that we're. Brian had an issue this week.
I tweeted out the other day about you being on American Priorities Conference, and that I don't know if it was that we were going to have you on the show, and I did use the hashtag Laura Loomer, which was trending and still kind of is. And I was locked out of my Twitter account for about 12 hours.
Totally locked out.
It kept asking me. It kept sending me to a page. After I logged in, it would send me to a page, a white blank page that said, "Are you a bot?" ? And nowhere to type anything in.
Oh.
And the top right-hand corner, it said options. So I clicked on that. Yeah. The two options were help or close.
Oh no!
That was for 12 hours. I was looking at the
truly
white screen.
believe it's because you use the hashtag Laura Loomer, and I'm telling you, it's not just that.
Probably.
It's not just that they ban somebody like a Laura Loomer. It's going to extend to if you support somebody that we banned, you're suspended.
Well, I mean, what have they been doing with people that put up Alex Jones? Who was that did an Alex Jones interview and put it up on YouTube and gotten suspended for it?
That was Brandon Straka.
Yeah.
He mentioned InfoWars and he got suspended or banned for 30 days.
Oh my goodness! Wow, it's diabolical. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of conservatives out there that are having trouble with this because they feel like an Internet Bill of Rights or getting Trump involved, or whatever, is basically asking for the government to intervene on this. But I was actually in that camp a while ago, but it just got to the point where I realized that this is a monopoly. They are colluding. And what do? I mean, this is one of the primary roles of the U.S. government as founded.
Right. And for those of you out there, I'm a capitalist. Don't come at me because I know you've been trying to.
Yeah.
And saying that this is, Brian, this is capitalism that you don't like. And that Bezos says capitalism you don't like. No. This is the part where it goes from being capitalism to being socialism down the road. When you've got the government, or if you've got collusion, you've got monopolies involved, that is no longer free and fair capitalism.
Right. 100%. I can't wait to see what comes of it, because something has to come of it. I just hope that that's good and right and would make the founders proud is really what it boils down to.
And so you're going to be at the American Priorities Conference December 6th, 7th, and 8th. Are you going to be there all 3 days, or what is your schedule?
I'll be there all 3 days.
Awesome. And then your speaking engagement time and...
Well, I'll be speaking throughout the conference on various days. I'll be there the entire time, but I'll be on a panel, and then I have my own speaking engagements as well. But I'll be on various panels throughout the conference, speaking on citizen journalism, new media, independent media, and now social media censorship.
All right. Excellent. And folks, we've been there. We were there with Laura Loomer out in St. Louis here recently at the Gateway Eagle Council event. And she's very, very approachable, talkable. If you have some ideas or thoughts and things that you want to talk to her about, she's just a regular person like all of us.
How do we follow you now?
Well, the best way for people to follow me now is by subscribing to my website, lauraloomer.us. That's the best way. And I send out newsletters and contacts through my email lists that go out weekly. And I'm just trying to build that up right now and try to transfer all of my followers over to my email list. And also on my Instagram, you can follow me. My Instagram name is Loomered, so @Loomered. And I still have my Facebook, even though I'm banned for 30 days. So I guess you could follow my page in the meantime. But the best way is to subscribe to my own website. I'm now on Minds.com. I'm also on Gab and on BitChute. So I'm going to start doing a lot of alternative media. So if you have a Gab account, follow me. My username is just Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer on Minds, Laura Loomer on BitChute as well. And I'm going to be expanding. I'm going to be using a lot of different alternative media platforms as well. And I have my YouTube channel too, so you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Laura Loomer.
As long as that lasts, right?
Right, as long as that lasts. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, folks, it's down there, lauraloomer.us. And again, I was on your Facebook page just today, just kind of browsing around, and I saw that things that you've posted, and now that I think about it, there's nothing that's, unless Facebook has deleted something that you've put up, there seems to be nothing
They didn't even tell me what they banned me for. They just said you're banned for 30 days for hate speech. They didn't even show me a post. I don't even post anything controversial on Facebook because
I think that we got to the bottom of this. I'm sorry for cutting you off. There was somebody that put up Laura Loomer _alt and was really, really doing a good job of masquerading around as Laura Loomer herself. What can you say about any accounts that might pop up on Twitter or Facebook?
All of the accounts are fake. All of the accounts are fake, and I don't have any fake or new accounts on Twitter or Facebook. Right? I just have the accounts that were banned, and I don't plan on creating another Twitter account because That's what they want. They're fake accounts that are being created by trolls so that they can try to get me in trouble with Twitter, and then people pretending to be me so that they can get money. But, you know, in the meantime, like I said, I really need people to subscribe to my website, lauraloomer.us. I need people to follow me on Instagram and talk about alternative, alternative platforms, other ways that we can communicate. So other people need to be signing up for these alternative media platforms as well, like Gab, Minds.com, BitChute. And we also need to start having a discussion as content creators about things that our representatives can do and actual solutions, because we need Congress to pass some type of legislation. And I've been talking with some individuals, and one of the only solutions that I've heard about right now is something called SMACA, which is the Social Media Anti-Censorship Act. So yeah, there's something called SMACA, and I can send you guys the outline after this as well, and you can post it and share it with your users. But we need to start having a conversation, because SMACA it's really the only solution so far that I have seen. And if we can start getting congressmen and our representatives to talk about SMACA and have a discussion amongst each other and make this term SMACA go viral, it might be a great solution. And it seems to make a lot of sense to me. And it's very straightforward, and it's proposed legislation. And I think that so far, like I said, it's one of the only solutions that I've seen. People like to talk about the censorship, but I have not seen a lot of people come up with solutions. There isn't a platform that is very popular right now that people are flocking to. I mean, there's Gab, there's Minds, there's BitChute, but there isn't a mainstream platform like Facebook or Twitter that is going to be pro free speech in the moment. So we really need our representatives to start talking about legislation. And I would love for them to start talking about SMACA, or looking into the idea of SMACA.
Yeah, I would love to see that, and I will share that everywhere. I can't wait to see it.
Someone had mentioned something to me about using the FCC. Is that an option, or is that viable? Is that even...
That could be problematic.
Well, there's issues of antitrust with these companies because of their monopolistic practices, and it's their racketeering, which they are participating in racketeering. And this is a monopoly. It's a monopoly on free speech, and it's a monopoly on business practices. And it's just really sad to see how many people's lives have been ruined, how many businesses have been killed as a result of big tech, and how so many people have been scammed out of their pages. There are people who have invested like hundreds of thousands of dollars into building up their Facebook pages, and then they're just shut down. And I find that to be a really fraudulent business practice, because you're telling people, hey, you can sign up and do business, and then we're going to take your money for advertising, and then we're just going to delete it all without any warning. So I've heard horror stories, and something needs to be done, because
to me that sounds like theft. It sounds like theft when Facebook
fraud. It's theft. It's just it's not. And I'm not a lawyer, but it's just not ethical.
Right. This isn't a nightmare story, but for us, Smyth Radio on Facebook, during the campaign, the run up to the campaign, people were posting 1-star negative comments and just rhetorical, angry, hateful stuff that were former cruise crew people or Democrats or whatnot. Those can never be removed. They're still there forever. And we're not a business, like, we don't sell anything.
Right.
But somebody could destroy your business with fake bots and fake reviews, and it's something. You're right. You're absolutely right. So Laura Loomer at American Priorities Conference, December 6th, 7th, and 8th. She'll be there all 3 days. She'll be talking each day at various events.
Yes.
Jump over, get your tickets right away. Make sure you get them, because a lot of these places a lot of these events or speaking engagements are limited to the amount of people.
The breakout sessions could be quite small because of the room might not be very big. So you want to get those tickets. Get those tickets.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you and whoever else decides to show up. Hope to see you guys there.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Laura. We'll see you there.
Thank you so much.
All right, Laura Loomer, and don't forget to go to lauraloomer.us to sign up for everything that she's got there. Just sign up whatever she's got. So it sounds like she's got an email list, which is awesome. She probably sends out her breaking news directly to you through that, or whatever kind of news she has about herself. I thought it was Laura Loomer, a different website. The .us. I'm definitely going to go there and check that out, because I didn't realize that, and now you guys all know.
Absolutely. We are slated for our next guest. I'm not quite sure the time frame of our next guest, but
you're not sure whenever they call in.
Because I thought it was supposed to be now, because we ran a little long with Laura, but that was really good information that we all needed to know. Everybody needed to hear about as well. So Martha Bonetta, slated to be anytime soon. We'll see how that goes, how that works out. But as we talk about these things that are going on, the banning of conservative folks like us that just talk about conservatism. We talk about making America great again. We talk about the things that are founding fathers, why our country is founded the way it was founded, what we can do about it to take it back, and why has it gone so far to the left when you've got all these news outlets, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, just absolutely filled with hate, anger, and rage, Jim Acosta, hating on Trump, hating single thing that Trump has ever said. Doesn't matter. Now you've got just random people that do the man on the street thing where they ask kids on college campus, they ask them, well, Hillary Clinton said this, so do you agree with that? And when they say yes, they agree with it. They say, no, sorry, that was Trump that said that. It is so easy. Because so much has been said negatively about Trump, but when they actually hear what he said.
Oh, yeah. I always call people out because a lot of times they respond to what they thought they heard. But then when you replay the actual words spoken, you realize that they're complaining about something that wasn't really said. It's just what they thought they said. So there's dozens and dozens of examples over the years of this happening since basically the start of the campaign all the way through to his presidency. So I love to have those battles because I don't know. I like the rhetorical and all that kind of stuff.
And now I want to go down the road of Muslims just real quick. This was posted up on Twitter. I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit and I'm going to read it for you because it's kind of a little bit hard to understand. But this is a video put up on Twitter. Muslims being asked about being elected to positions and what they're going to do and how they're going to take over America. And first off,
so these are Muslims in America that could possibly run for office.
Yes,
okay.
Correct. So he says, if there will be a contradiction between the Constitution and Sharia law, then what?
Contradiction between the Constitution and Sharia. Yes. The way that we will deal with that, inshallah, is through the electoral process.
Okay, the way we'll deal with that through Sharia law is through the electoral process.
Okay.
We will run candidates wherever Muslims live, and Allah willing, but you're not the majority. No, that's what we say, not yet.
Majority. No, that's what I'm saying. We will have, inshallah, not yet.
Yeah, so they're admitting, we're not the majority. Even in Muslim areas, we're not the majority, but we're not the majority yet. We're working on that.
That's why I'm running.
And that's why this Muslim guy says that's why I'm running for commissioner.
For commissioner.
And that's why we need more Muslims. More Muslims to run. And commissioners, senators, congressmen, whatever political position in cities, in big and small administrations. In Dearborn, we already have control.
Well, look at Minnesota. They got a congresswoman.
And he says, yes, in Dearborn, they already have control over the city. That's no lie, folks. There's been people that have gone to Dearborn, Michigan to scope the town. And you really would, it's out of the Middle East. It really is. So it's not impossible. It'll just take some time. That's why the strategy here is long-term strategy. 50 years sounds like a long time, but for Muslim Brotherhood, it's attainable.
Oh, this sounds just like communism in America. Yeah. Communism, a lot of people don't realize, we have been inundated with communism, and it was a 100-year plan.
Right.
The communists 100 years ago or more decided we're going to take over America, and these are the steps that are going to have to be taken. And along the way, they were losing everywhere you could imagine. I mean, there was the Red Scare, the first Red Scare. People don't realize this. You know the Red Scare in the 50s with McCarthy? That was the second Red Scare.
Yeah.
There was another Red Scare back in, I think it was the teens or 20s or something like that. And the second Red Scare happened in the 50s with McCarthy. And so they had a long-term plan, and it worked. Okay, Barack Obama was a full-blown communist president. They got the president of the United States. Communism did. And so it will happen with Islam if they have the same kind of long-term 50 to 100-year plan that communism had.
And as far as we know, their will is pretty long and strong. Right. I mean, it's not like they're willing to die for their cause by blowing themselves up.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing about it's not bigotry or anything like that. They believe in Sharia law, and they're going to try to implement it through the legal process, which, our founders believe that when the majority represents a representative who then makes the law and it gets passed and all that kind of stuff, those are our laws. You could have any law you want. You just have to go through the process set up by our founders. And when you have people who believe in Sharia law take a look at this, they're like, well, we could theoretically implement full-blown Sharia law in America. We just have to go through these steps laid out by the founders, and it may take 100 years, but guess what? The ball's rolling.
Well, not only that, but there have been cases already that have gone up to Supreme Court or have gone up to higher courts to where lower courts in, for example, Dearborn, Michigan, were using Sharia law. Lawyers were quoting Sharia law, and judges were allowing it in American courts, and then the appeals had to go to higher up courts for those courts to say, no, this is unconstitutional. Folks, I'm telling you right now, if you don't know anything about Islam, if you don't know about the Quran, if you don't know about Sharia law, you absolutely must go to the YouTubes, find Brigitte Gabriel, find there's all kinds of great stuff out there that exposes Sharia law, exposes Islam for what it is. It is incompatible. It is incompatible with the United States Constitution and the United States Bill of Rights.
Right. In order to fully have Sharia law or America be Sharia compliant, they would have to do amendments to the Constitution. And the thing is that the founders set up a system that would allow for any amendment. You want guns? You want the government to take away your guns? There's a process. There's a legal process to abolish or amend the Second Amendment.
And it almost happened in 2010. We've talked about that many times.
Well, that wasn't a legal process. That was an extra legal process.
Well, you know.
That was called legislation from the bench. It would have been totally unconstitutional. But
if the Supreme Court would have gone the other way,
it's kind of like Roe v. Wade. Once they rule on it, everybody just accepts it as being allowed.
Well, if it's a Democrat favorable ruling.
Right.
Because there have been rulings where the Supreme Court was re-ruled and re-looked at things that they had passed, had bills that they had passed or affirmed that, okay, this is the way it's going to be. And then 10, 15, 20, 50 years later, they revisit it with a new Supreme Court justice. They revisit the whole idea and say, you know what? The Supreme Court got it wrong. I'm just saying they got it wrong in the
Sometimes
past.
It just happens through osmosis. You look at DC versus Heller, you would think that landmark case would have made everybody realize, oh, you mean we can bear arms? And now look, you get pulled over and you have a gun in your glove box or something like that, and you go to jail.
If you have no, man, don't do that. If you have a gun in your glove box and you don't have a special extra certificate, not the Second Amendment, but a special certificate.
Just get a copy of the Second Amendment and say, here's my permit.
Even in the state of Ohio, you'll probably be arrested and you're probably not allowed to own a gun for the rest of your life.
Yeah, somebody was telling me yesterday that if you got a side holster and you're carrying wide open for everybody to see, that's allowed. But if you got it in your center console of your car, that'll send you to prison. I'm sitting here thinking, what is we talking about here?
Talking about prison.
I guess we're not talking about the Second Amendment. So anyway.
No, we're not. And Kyle Kushchev, out of the Florida school shooting. If you guys remember that from a while back, David Hogg is still out attempting to garner support for the banning the Second Amendment and banning guns. Well, Piers Morgan is still.
Whoa!
I guess Piers Morgan is not alive and kicking. I was going to go to Piers, but we're not doing that now. Folks, we have our second
guest,
special guest. And before we bring her on, I want to play for you her little snippet. I'm going to play for you a pinned video that she has on her Twitter account that kind of gives you a little bit of who she is, and I found this just absolutely fascinating and refreshing. This is Deanna Lorraine.
Any compassionate and rational woman. What happened with Brett Kavanaugh should frighten every man and prove to you that the left doesn't care about you. In the world that the left wants to create, at any moment, a woman could ruin your life based on uncorroborated claims of sexual assault. No proof whatsoever. If she says it happened, you can lose everything you've worked for, and your family, your career, your lives can be destroyed. They seek to destroy due process and make men guilty until proven innocent. They seek to create a morally repugnant new precedent where all women are blindly believed, regardless of however many decades later it's been, regardless of if there's any evidence or not, simply because she's a female. Then, angry mobs are encouraged to show up at your home or place of work and threaten you, harass you, dox you into submission.
You and your testimony are credible. We believe you. We believe you. We believe you.
The world that the left wants to create is a world where men's lives matter less than women, or not even at all. Women are helpless victims and inherently more honest, trustworthy, and innocent, where men are inherently liars. It's a world that indoctrinates boys and men into feeling ashamed of their own identity. This radical and angry brand of feminism and leftism isn't interested in gender equality. With their constant mantras of the future is female and men need to shut up, they're not even hiding their agenda. They want the complete subordination of men.
But really, guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country to shut up and step up.
The left is systemic God. There are women in America that cannot stand this man-shaming ideology. We are sickened and saddened by this constant weaponizing of women and the Me Too movement. We do not consider ourselves victims, but strong, feminine, loving women. We love our men, we appreciate masculinity, and we love our country. We have love and compassion in our hearts, not competitiveness and hatred. We consider it powerful, not weak, to support you and be your teammate. We want you to succeed, and we want strong men, because strong, successful men and fathers create a strong America. Women on the right are loving, honest. We stand for truth.
Okay, so that is our next special guest, Deanna Lorraine, the author of Make Love Great Again, and she's also millennial. But she says it on her Twitter account. So I'm not exposing anything that's not true. But Deanna, when I saw that, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Deanna. When I saw that video, oh my goodness, my heart just overwhelmingly just got so excited and happy.
Good. Oh, good. That was the point. It was to give men some hope that there are rational, sane, loving women out there. And then, to also help people understand that, we don't need this kind of nonsense where men are guilty until proven innocent. And if men want to sign themselves up for that kind of suicide, go ahead, keep on voting left. But look what you're walking into. Look what you're signing up for. It's ridiculous, right?
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, Deanna Lorraine, you are going to be speaking at the American Priorities Conference. What is that all about, and what are you doing?
Yeah, well, and I apologize for the weird lighting. I'm at my parents' house for the Thanksgiving weekend, so I don't have my typical, studio and everything, my lighting. I have to make do. But the American Priorities Conference is a fantastic conference coming up December 6th, 7th, and 8th in Washington, my favorite place. And it'll be bringing together conservatives and, really talking about what our American values are and what are the most important priorities of America, of our country for the next year, how we're going to come together and actually tackle those issues and move together forward to make America great again. So I will be speaking.
And I will be speaking about, actually, I will be doing a different rendition of the I Have a Dream speech.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, hope I don't get copyright infringement on that. But I will be having a kind of an I Have a Dream 2.0 speech. And it's really going to be overall a very uplifting message that's about unity and reason and rationality in a country that's going to chaos if we don't make a right turn pretty soon here. So it is ultimately going to be a positive message of hope and unity and love, and you know, really restoring that message that in order to make America great again, truly, we do need to make love, relationships, our culture, and families great again.
No, I agree 100%. The core, the family core, the dad, the mom, the thing that is tragically missing in the Black community, where 75% and some numbers are even higher of babies born out of wedlock.
Right.
I think it's crested up over 50% of all Black women who become pregnant in New York actually go to the route of abortion. It's just, it's this Democrat. They just ruin everything. I can't say
I know.
Damn Democrats.
Oh, I mean, it's
do.
terrible. It's like murder, you know? That's what we're really talking about. It's crazy.
And look, it used to be that, you know, that abortion was very rare and not talked about, certainly not boasted about. And it would be something that was like very rare and in extreme circumstances. Okay. So even I would think that people that, you know, some people might be able to understand that. But now it's not only not rare, but it's shoved in our faces every day. And women are literally going on a national tour, a Shout Your Abortion tour, where they're making it cool to have an abortion and to shout your abortion from the rooftops and from social media to completely remove the stigma out of it and any shame. I'm sorry. I think there should be a stigma. I think there should be some shame around abortion. I think there should be some guilt and modesty. And that's what makes us human. And that's what makes us, you know, retain that moral compass. So by destigmatizing it and making it seem like it's just something cool to do, I think it actually dehumanizes us and takes away from our ability to have healthy relationships and a healthy soul.
No, absolutely 100%. The comedian, just the wretched, awful Michelle Wolf.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, so not even funny.
She put on dawned on what looked like a red, white, and blue. What is the?
I'm not a fashion guy, so I don't know.
No, it's the USA, the top hat, you know. The guy that says, you know, we
Uncle
want you.
Sam?
Yeah, Uncle Sam. I don't know. I'm having a lockup over. I can't get her image out of my head. She's got me triggered. Well, she was on a show the other day, shooting off a cannon, and all these like paper mache would shoot out, and she was screaming out abortion is beautiful. And if you haven't had an abortion yet, plan yours today. And then
my gosh.
Yes, did you see that at all?
I did, and sorry, I got something just stuck in my eye all of a sudden. But
I can't believe
I did,
that.
and it's disgusting. It's revolting, and that's why like it's no surprise that teenage girls and our girls are growing up with just kind of like with no moral compass and thinking it's totally cool to be a whore, you know, like embracing this slut culture.
You know, it's interesting you say that.
It's not cool, and it really is dehumanizing, and it takes away from. You know, from any kind of desire to commit or have a family or revere sex and commitment, right, and marriage and family.
Yeah, I really like the idea of shame and like modesty as a reaction to the potential for shame. Because these are the things, these are like the carrot and the stick that makes society better, makes people have happier lives by at least trying to avoid these things. You know, my mother accidentally got pregnant with my big brother when she was 16. she had him when she was 17. And back then, they removed you from the school. And this is not just some private school or some well-to-do public school in the suburbs. This was an inner city public school, and it was standard procedure to remove them from the student population because they didn't want to influence it. And now today, you have these programs on MTV where they're lionizing young girls for having a child and being pregnant at the prom and all this kind of stuff and making it seem like it's so cool. And, you know, this is the same level of maturity that
eyes okay now.
Yeah, I think your eye's okay. I'm looking at it.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah, it looks fine. I don't.
Great timing to get something stuck in my eye.
If you need a second, I got the camera off of you. So
yeah, the camera's off you right.
So you can do whatever you want right now.
Can I like check in the mirror really, really quickly?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
We're gonna keep talking,
but just hold that thought. So
yeah.
No,
so I think it's
you're
great.
Right, and I get so angry about this. When I lived in South Central LA, folks, I'd run into these girls in the streets, young Utes, you know, on a summer evening, hanging around on their little bicycles or whatnot, talking with each other.
Okay.
Hispanic girls, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, somewhere around in there,
right,
bragging about how they're going to get their babies out of the way so that they can have fun and have their party time. I was telling a story about
they were going to have party time afterwards.
Yeah, I was telling a story about these Hispanic girls in high school in LA, South Central, bragging about getting their babies early, getting them out of the way so that I can party when I'm in my late 20s because I don't want to be screwed around, you know, because I can't drink till I'm 21. So I'll have the babies now.
So get 3 or 4 out of the way.
Yes.
Now, see, if they were to get married,
that's not a bad idea, actually.
Right. Yeah, if they were to get married, see, and that's the thing. The assumption is if you're going to start having children at 15 or whatever, that you're going to do it out of wedlock. Obviously that would be a bad thing for the kids. So there's
right.
2 ways to look at it, I guess. But it's usually the opposite. Isn't the opposite? I must be able to have my abortions on demand or else how am I going to be able to party? I can't go to the club being saddled with this child.
Yeah, totally. And look, I've even learned the hard way that I bought into the feminist lie myself where that, you know, you have to be financially successful and independent as a woman and be out of college. And your first priority should be working and being financially successful and independent. And then later down the road, you can have a family. And I think that's really backwards for a woman because, you know, career can always be there. Babies and a biological clock may not always be there. I mean, that's what a biological clock is. Right.
Well, the argument, see if you can field some of these. Let me play devil's advocate a little bit.
Yes, please.
So you have your children in lieu of going on to get your master's or whatnot and competing with men in the workforce and all this kind of stuff. And that sounds all good and everything until you realize, well, now you're breastfeeding for for a while. And then you're changing diapers and then you're running them off to school every day and you're making them lunch. And next thing you know, the kids are 18 and you're in your late 40s and you missed out on everything.
So I've been enslaved for the last 18 years. You don't know.
Slavery. It's a patriarchal slavery. How do you feel those kind of criticism?
Well, you know, I think that there's just not enough education or programs to show women a better way. I think there's a third option. And that is, I think, you know, teaching them that maybe their 20s could be great to focus that energy on having a family, you know, building a family, building a marriage. And then by the time you're like 34, 35, your kids are already off to school, well off that time. And like, you still have a lot of energy left over then. And that so much of your time in your life to then pursue a master's degree or pursue a career. And you're really, you know, still ahead of your game. Plus you're a young, hot mom. Yeah. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you can't
I know. Yeah. I got one.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you have a different kind of energy, though, when, you know, and what I would say that devil's advocate, slaving away as a woman and like slaving away your 20s and 30s, trying to get to the top of your career ranks without a partner and by yourself. Eventually that energy gets really tiring and boredom too. You know, that energy gets really hard and you get really burnt out as a woman, knowing that you have no partner and you're just doing this all yourself. And you're competing and you have nothing really to show for it as far as family or relationships go. Well, so, you know, pick your poison, but no one's really showing women that, you know, there's a third way to do it. Maybe start a home business so you don't lose that drive or that entrepreneurial spirit or that ambition. You're still kind of building something on the side while you're raising a kid in your 20s. But I think that there needs to be some sort of education. And this is what I'm trying to do with my message, too. It doesn't have to be just like either go back to the 1940s or now. I think there's some sort of in between that can be really positive for women and stay-at-home moms.
And just to give you ladies in college right now and you gentlemen in college right now, you're probably not going to reach a pinnacle of success by the time you're in your early 30s. It's very rare. You might. Yeah. It's very, very rare. Your success, I would say, is it's amazing in your book and you're traveling around the world and you're giving talks. I mean, this is phenomenal. But Carrie and I have talked about this. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
we are both just crested 40. And we haven't really found success until now in our careers.
Well, Rush Limbaugh was dead on accurate when he said they don't pay you until you turn 40.
Like the owner.
Wow, that's funny.
He said that, and I thought, what does that even mean? And all of a sudden, people look at me totally different. They can see the 40 on me, and they're like, "Oh, this guy needs to get paid."
The 40 cents.
Something like that, because all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, this guy needs to get pushed up the ladder."
It's the scent of decay.
Well, they also say that they say that because men waste their sexual energy before they're 40 on chasing tail and other kinds of things, that it's so all over the place. But when they actually are kind of a little bit past that stage, they can direct that sexual energy actually toward ambition and projects and their careers, and it actually tends to go further.
The most expensive thing that a man will ever pay for is the chasing of women.
Yes,
right.
I'm the one that came up with that. I have a family member, a male family member, who's an older bachelor, I guess you could say, and he's a penny pincher. He's very cheap, and he's always trying to save money. And then I see what he drops on dating, and I'm like, wow! I just realized the most expensive thing on earth. And the reason I bring this up,
what did he just buy?
I don't know. What did
he just bought a brand new Camaro
for a woman?
No, for himself, but the show just.
No. Dave Chappelle pointed that out. It's the bait.
Yeah.
The Camaros is the bait. It's to get the yes.
Even Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, he said that, because most men when they're younger, they spend a lot of money on sex or chasing sex or prostitutes or having anything to do with sex, and instead of actually directing that energy toward their ambition and toward one woman, toward the love and commitment of one woman, and then you actually can channel that energy in much more of a productive way. So it's actually a secret of Think and Grow Rich.
And I'll tell you what, folks, it's all in your face when it comes to social media. It's all in your face when it comes to commercials and advertisement on TV, the TV shows, all the stuff that they're throwing in our faces right now. Growing up in the 80s, I cannot even fathom the problems that this guy I work with, he's 30. I refer to him as my millennial, and affectionately my millennial. But the issues that he's even talked to me about when it comes to adult content online. I can't even imagine being a little boy.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, it F's them up. It really does, because when you're a boy and by the time you're 15, you've seen hundreds of thousands of footage of very graphic sex and even violent sex.
Yeah.
I mean, that does something to your brain structure. That does something to your perception of women, to your perception of relationships.
Right.
It really hurts it. I mean, so we have to really look at the way that boys are growing up when they're being inundated with this graphic sex by the time they're 15.
You learn about social interaction through social interaction, whether it's real or what you watch. Like some people watch movies and they think that this is the way people behave, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if they're watching, pornography or whatever, they might think that what they're seeing is the right way to go about,
and we have young daughters, and our goal is teaching our young daughters. They are the ones that are in control of that part of the relationship. You girls, you say yes, you say no. It is your responsibility if you're dating. I'm kind of preaching as if I was talking to my daughters, that it's your responsibility is if you're dating a guy and he pushes and pushes and pushes and pressure, because that's what he's known that you're just supposed to give that to me. and you go ahead with that and you say, all right, well, I guess he's right. Man, you're giving up all your power.
Right.
And we've talked about this, the pill or contraceptives, to where that was a guy who invented that to get past the answer of no.
Yeah,
I'll get pregnant.
It's to bypass no. Is what it is. Same thing with abortion. Abortion.
It was a man that invented it, most likely, right?
I guarantty you. You know what?
I don't know if it was or not, but I guarantee it was.
Yeah.
I can't say
99.
No woman would do that.
Yeah, I feel like feminism was invented by a man because it helps men. The sexual revolution, right?
Probably.
Absolutely.
And
it doesn't benefit women.
And when you say men, I'm gonna push it to men on the left.
Yes, totally.
To the
because
soy
women
boys.
women give up so much of their power now with sex, and then they wonder why men don't want commitment because they're giving up the thing that was most valued back in the day, which was like they had the power over sex.
And the lack of a man respecting a woman who respects herself. Because deep down inside, guys really love to respect women, and it feels good knowing that your woman demands respect.
They want the attention of women, and they will do a lot to do that. And when women guide the men in the right way, they've got all the power, flat out.
Right. What do you guys think about this? There was a new commercial out the other day, Jared's Diamonds, where there's the woman proposing to the man.
Yes.
I wish you guys had that to play right now, but it's the woman proposing to a man. It was saying, like, nowadays, why not dare to ask him? And it was selling diamonds. And I'm like, no, this is so bad. This is so wrong.
Well, wait, was she giving the diamond to him?
She got down on her knee.
Yes.
And she had the diamond.
Yes. And the commercial was basically like saying, hey, if you're a strong woman, you should be doing this.
Men are men.
What do you guys think of that?
Okay.
I think that's like, if they do that, they're giving all their power away.
I saw it and I thought it was awful.
This might be
So
sexist.
cringy.
Maybe this is sexist, but I think that men tend to be a little bit on the narcissistic side. They don't need women getting down on their knee, begging them to spend the rest of his life with them.
Down on that, but I'm gonna tell you right now, she's proposing to a soy boy because if he was a man, he would already know that the relationship is at that point. When I proposed to my wife, 2005-06 New Year's Eve, when I got down on my knee at midnight, I knew she was going to say yes. I had it set up. I had it ready to go. I just knew and maybe that doesn't happen for everybody, but guys, that's just being a man.
Yeah.
Right. It's the soy boys that need to be told what to do, or that they don't do anything because they're lacking assertiveness and aggression. So this felt like some creepy, like, powerful woman with a soy boy, like, trading gender roles. It all felt so wrong and creepy and cringy.
Right. And I saw it because I don't know who threw it out there. It might have been Tucker Carlson. It might have been somebody that threw that out there. But I saw that earlier this week, and ironically, I work for a gold manufacturing company, so technically I am a goldsmith. But but
that makes you desirable to many women out there.
Jared is one of our clients.
Oh no!
Jared, K Jewelers, and a bunch of other ones too. But give
him a little nudge and be like, "Hey, Jared,
well,
I don't know about this."
Deanna, have you seen all these? I don't know if it's Facebook posts or commercials or where I'm seeing this, but I've definitely been seeing it where high school girls are asking the boy to be their prom date.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Ew.
that is no.
It's like every last piece of power, every last shred of power that a woman has is like they're just giving it over on a silver platter.
They're giving it to the men,
Yes, the gender roles are actually what give women power. And it's not what subordinate women. Gender roles give women power. That's the secret. When a woman is in her feminine essence and she's like embracing her gender role, which is more traditional, which is being more revered and letting the man do some things that are manly, letting him take care of you, letting him do the proposing and asking out, she actually gets more respect and affection and love from men. But if she insists on being the man it's a funny thing that happens, but they get less respect from men.
This is just my experience. I've been told that I am a man. I feel like a man at this point.
Do you identify as a man?
I do.
You identify as a man?
I do. Caitlyn Jenner. What was that? That abuse charges have been filed by Bruce Jenner on Caitlyn Jenner. No.
How is that even possible?
Funny.
It's like split personality.
It's from 30 years ago, man.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because Caitlyn mutilated his ding dong.
I know. No, but oh, good God.
Caitlyn Jenner pulled a Lorena Bobbitt on Bruce Jenner.
Oh,
there you go.
There's
he may have a case.
There's a blast.
She might have. He might have.
Flashback. But no, when I was a youth, I'd say probably a couple of different women come out in my mind that I dated for a very short period of time. Maybe when I was 18 and then maybe in my early 20s. And it was just a really quick dating. And it was because, and I'm not saying I was good looking or anything. I'm not saying that. She was all over me and wouldn't stop. I don't, guys don't like to be, I don't think guys like to be mauled. I don't like to be mauled.
Yeah. It's a very
there's a balance.
We're the predators. We have to hunt down the prey.
Yeah, and if I'm being hunted by a woman, and I will tell you what, when I was in the Air Force, I was hunted by an Army woman at one time, but that's for another show.
Okay, did you run for the hills?
It was so wrong because she was so
aggressive.
Yes.
Okay.
And she worked out, and she's like, and I'm like, no.
So, kind of switching.
Things have always worked best when men have pursued me. You know, I just feel like if he's not pursuing me, he's either not into it or whatever it is, but I'm not going to pursue him.
So what do you think about gender roles? Because I've triggered a family member, a feminist family member.
You did, didn't you?
Basically, I actually was being serious, but also knowing it was going to trigger her. When my daughter was probably like 3, I pointed out, we're teaching gender roles.
Good.
And she had steam coming out of her ears.
Got lit up.
She didn't say anything, but she actually showed her teeth. And she started going.
When she does that, that's the fist is coming next.
Well, it depends on how much alcohol is involved, but she could swing. She could swing.
Great.
So
she has a history. Thanksgiving instead of like, please pass the bread rolls, please pass the gender rolls.
Oh
man.
I'm gonna have to remember that next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So American Priorities Conference coming up here December 6th, 7th, and 8th. Everybody, if you don't have your tickets, I don't know what you're doing. But you absolutely got to get your tickets.
Can't miss.
It's gonna be the conference of a lifetime. We're all like, it's gonna be one big happy family. And aren't we doing an ugly Christmas sweater party?
We talked about that.
Christmas
I think that was
party,
the very
a few days before.
We have to, don't we?
We just have to.
We're all gonna be together. Even though, as far as I know, it's not an official thing. We'll make it
official.
Yeah,
there you go. I mean, it's going to be December. We're going to have these pre and post parties. There's even going to be after parties that aren't even on the schedule. I would say we need to have an official ugly Christmas sweater party at one of these things.
Totally.
So I'm already.
There's going to be I'll dress like Mrs. Santa Claus. It's going to be so much fun.
Somebody told me to use that hairspray and spray my beard white and go with Santa Claus.
Yeah, totally.
You could.
We're going to be all decked out. And you can't miss my I Have a Dream speech. It's going to be amazing. You're just going to have to come. It's going to be like a Trump rally 2.0.
Absolutely. And folks, if you're not following Deanna Lorraine on Twitter, you absolutely must. It's her name, Deanna Lorraine, and the number 7. And I don't know if I ever asked you this.
Wait, can I guess? Can I guess? Yes. You've been banned 6 times. This is your 7th one.
That's going to be my official story moving forward.
There you
go. Someone has my name, apparently. There's like people that actually have my name, and they're not even doing anything with me. And you're like, that's not even a cool Deanna Lorraine. But anyways, someone has my name apparently, and 7 is always my lucky number. It's my favorite number, so I figured I'll just throw a 7 at the end of it.
I did Brian P, as in Paul, my middle initial, Smith, because there is an artist in Ireland named Brian Smith.
Carrie Smith is a woman.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Well, Brian Smith is a little bit less of a, a little more common of a name.
Well, Carrie Smith has taken some woman in Ireland. Somehow Smith with a Y is
that sounds about right.
Yeah,
but,
so...
and short answer, gender roles, I think there's certain things that are good. Like I said, I come from a family of 4 brothers and mostly men in my family. Tons of testosterone. And we did things around the house that sort of complemented each other. And, they protected me in certain ways. I protected them. I looked up to them. And like I said, I think there's just differences between us that when we acknowledge them and appreciate them, we actually get more respect between the sexes than if we pretend like differences don't exist.
It is pretend, isn't it?
It's pretend that they don't exist. It's a downright lie. We do have and it's those differences that make it sometimes annoying, but endearingly annoying. And it's what makes it a beautiful team instead of a competition. So I do believe in some gender roles as long as it's positive and healthy and not chauvinistic.
And
right?
it's not
Michael Avenatti.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, the ex-girlfriend that Avenatti had roughed up, apparently she has put pictures.
Allegedly, right?
Well, she put up alleged pictures of the bruises.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but...
Damn! This is rich.
Right. And somebody had said that it's a 50-50 in a marriage, and I'm here... No, it's not. I put in 100%. My wife
100.
puts in 100%.
Yeah, because you got your roles.
100.
You got your roles. Yeah, absolutely.
You got your roles.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deanna Lorraine. I am so excited to see you.
I love being with you guys. It's been great.
We love having you on.
It's not you like work. It's just like hanging out with your friends.
Oh, yeah. It's like a party over here at Smyth Radio.
I know. I feel like I need a beer right now.
Oh, my goodness.
No. We did that one time, but that didn't work out.
Yeah, we don't do good show with beer. It doesn't work.
All right. American Priorities Conference, December 6th, 7th, and 8th. You're going to be there all 3 days?
I will be there all week, actually. So I'll be there.
Sweet. Come early and stay long. All right. We'll see you then.
Yeah, for sure.
Take care.
All right. Have a good
one. All right.
one.
You too, guys. Bye, guys.
Oh, wow. Man, that is so
much
awesome.
for coming on.
You.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
Too good.
Yeah.
I know we had another guest coming on, but...
I just got a message from Martha.
Yes. How you doing, Martha?
She is on a farm, and they lost power.
Oh, no!
I know, but I already rescheduled for next Sunday for Martha.
Sweet!
And so
did you text her or something?
Oh, yeah, we're texting back and forth because I was asking her if she was having trouble, and she's like, well, I could get in my car and start it up with the heat on and plug it in. She has no power. So, she said it'd probably be better to reschedule. I was like, we got next Sunday.
Yeah, we got one more day.
Next Sunday.
Folks, for some reason, I was under the impression that we only had another show, like this is the last show until the conference, but apparently that's not true.
You got your days a little crossed.
You got my days crossed up, so we have this one. And then we'll also have Scott Pressler on next week as well. Scott Pressler.
He's the mover and shaker.
Yes.
He's the one that's making stuff happen. And I like the way he's like encouraging others to take major action. The kind of action that works.
Yep. Knocking on doors, getting out there, talking to the people, getting in people's faces and really making a difference. And that would definitely be Scott Presser. What an awesome guy. A good friend of the show, too. We hung out there in St. Louis, hung out in D.C. with him a couple of times. And I'm trying to look for... Oh, real quick, folks. Here is a Dennis PragerU little video that came up this week when we're talking about Laura Loomer, we're talking about being banned, we're talking about the intimidation factor that Twitter does, free speech in America, and this is a video from Prager University that was put up this week.
I might not have seen this one because I haven't seen a PragerU video in more than a week, so should be good.
This is the United States of America. You are totally free to express your political views. No one is going to tell you what you can say or how you can say it, right? But what if you thought you'd be audited by the IRS or have your business boycotted or even lose your job? Would you speak freely then? This isn't a hypothetical question. It's happening to Americans right now. It's what I call the intimidation game. The object of this very real game is to make political opponents pay a high price for expressing their opinions. It was a standard technique in the Jim Crow South in the 1950s. It was used by racist Southern Democrats to shut up black civil rights groups like the NAACP. And now these tactics have been revived and improved upon by today's Democratic Party and their allies on the progressive left. They want to shut up conservatives, just like racists once wanted to shut up blacks and their liberal supporters. They do it in 3 ways. First, they harass. Second, they investigate and prosecute. And third, they blackmail. Tactic number 1, harass. They sic federal and state agencies and bureaucrats on their political enemies. Remember the IRS targeting scandal that began in 2010? That's when the IRS systematically denied or delayed nonprofit status to more than 400 citizen activist groups, almost all conservative. These groups, representing tens of thousands of Americans, clearly met the IRS's tax-exempt standards. But the IRS delay and denial made it impossible for these groups to raise or spend money during the 2012 presidential election. Had they been able to, would the election have turned out differently? We'll never know. Some of these groups are still waiting for their nonprofit approval. Democrats continue to claim the scandal was the result of some rogue IRS agents who didn't understand the law. Not true. We know from documents obtained through congressional investigations and the Freedom of Information Act that the IRS was taking its cue from powerful Democrats and their left-wing allies, like MoveOn.org. For example, Michigan Senator Carl Levin repeatedly pressured the agency to investigate conservative nonprofits. Meanwhile, in speeches, President Barack Obama warned about shadowy Tea Party groups. Lois Lerner, the head of the IRS's nonprofit division and a Democratic Party loyalist, took the hint. Tactic number 2, investigate and prosecute. In Wisconsin, Democrat prosecutors engaged in a bogus campaign finance investigation into conservative groups that had supported Wisconsin's Republican governor, Scott Walker. The prosecutors subpoenaed emails and financial records of the groups and its employees. They staged pre-dawn raids on the homes of Wisconsin conservatives, confiscating computers and correspondence. Then, they warned the victims of these phony investigations and terrorizing raids that they'd go to jail if they told anyone what was happening to them. It took the state Supreme Court to end this use of the government to suppress political opponents. But the message was sent by Democrats in Wisconsin. Cross us, and you will pay a steep price. Tactic number 3, blackmail. The American Legislative Exchange Council, also known as ALEC, is a nonprofit that is very good at getting free market legislation passed at the state level. It's supported by a number of corporate donors, Coca-Cola and Kraft once among them. In 2012, left-wing groups who have long hated ALEC had an idea. Target ALEC's corporate donors, threaten to run ads branding them as racists or climate deniers unless they pull their support. It worked. More than 100 major donors ended their funding. As if these 3 tactics weren't bad enough, the left has added a new weapon to its intimidation arsenal: forced disclosure of political donors. This is when the names of people who give money to a cause or a candidate are made public. Disclosure can be good when it lets citizens keep track of whose money may be influencing politicians. But it's bad when it's used to target and punish average Americans who make political donations. Left-wing activists in California used financial disclosure records to assemble a searchable map of every person who donated to California's Prop 8 campaign supporting traditional marriage. The donors on that list had their cars keyed, their windows broken, and their businesses flash mobbed. Some Prop 8 supporters even lost their jobs, most notably the CEO of Mozilla Firefox, Brendan Eich. So, how do we stop this intimidation? First, learn to recognize the left's bully tactics. They're not subtle. Second, be very wary of initiatives to increase financial disclosure. They sound good, but they're almost always just left-wing attempts to get new names of people to intimidate. And finally, we must fight back. They can only win if we let them. We can't let them. Our freedom depends on it. I'm Kimberly Strassel of the Wall Street Journal for Prager University.
There we go. All right. So, folks, I'm telling you, I know it seems like it's an uphill battle that we're waging right now to maintain and keep our freedoms here in America, free speech and the right to freely associate on the social media networks. I know it seems like a very difficult and uphill battle. And just even looking at it through the news, through the lens of Smyth Radio and the things that we talk about and the things that we do here. And Carrie can attest to this. Getting 24,000 followers, and I just crested 17,000 followers on Twitter, it was an uphill battle. Even being shadow banned was an absolute uphill battle for the past couple of years. With that being said, Laura Loomer, I don't know how many tens of thousands. What was she up to? Over 100,000?
Who?
Laura Loomer.
Oh, 230,000.
230,000 followers. Folks, she works
almost
hard at what she does.
Almost 250,000 followers.
So 250,000 followers now no longer follow her.
Yeah,
because she doesn't have
gone.
an account. Her account is gone.
Right.
So with that being said, folks, this has got to stop. Again, we're talking about different ideologies. I know Donald Trump made a comment that he's going to get involved in this and that this isn't fair. He's going to get involved in it because he's going to see his support starting to disappear on the social media. Folks, do you realize that Donald Trump is the first president in all of American history that has a direct line, a hotline to all his supporters, all his followers, people who support and follow Donald Trump? He can speak to us at a moment's notice. You tweet out to us, we'll see it, we know what's going on. This week he called out a bunch of different fake news outlets accusing different issues, and the global warming was blew up again, and he said this is Thanksgiving here in New York turned out to be the coldest Thanksgiving on record, and it's those things like that the left hates. And the more that he does that, the more likely it is that they may even curb him. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he talks about these things so much and so often. I'm actually kind of shocked that they haven't done anything to him specifically yet when it comes to shadow ban or... If you deleted his account, I think there would be problems.
Whose account are we talking
Trump.
about? Oh, no, I think that would be the end of Twitter. I think that the greatest thing that could happen to the conservative MAGA movement right now is for Twitter to ban Donald Trump.
Okay.
It would be the very best thing to happen. I laughed my butt off when he was when his account was deleted for, what was it, an hour or a couple minutes or whatever it was for a short period of time. It would be the greatest thing ever. In fact, I have breaking news. It sounded like I wasn't paying attention to Brian. That was because I'm getting breaking news right now. Veteran and talk show host Jesse Kelly DC at Jesse Kelly DC on Twitter has just been suspended.
What?
Yeah. So there you go. And it's just a nonstop. It's almost like there's a team of staff, a team of employees at Twitter who come in every day, clock in, and their sole task is just scour through the entire database of users on Twitter and find out who's conservative, who supports Trump, who's saying anything positive about Trump or the MAGA movement, and then find something that they've ever said that can be construed as either a violation of their actual terms of service or should be if it's not. And as soon as they get done saying, oh, your account is now deleted, get on the horn with Mark Zuckerberg and say, yep, what's his name? Blah, blah, blah. Brian Smith just got deleted. So you can go ahead. You got the green light on them on Facebook. So go ahead.
Yep.
And then they're gone.
We've got proof of it. Yep. Definitely.
But you bring up something really interesting, Brian, that I like the way you worded that Trump is going to start realizing that less and less people are on Twitter supporting him.
Well, I mean,
because they're being purged.
Right. Wait till they get James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe is prides himself on having 250,000 plus followers, maybe more, and without a blue check mark,
right?
And being a citizen journalist, which literally he should have a blue check mark, but prides himself on not having one. He wrote about Laura Loomer, said Laura Loomer now banned from Twitter and Facebook for 30 days. What's interesting is how senior Twitter staff spent considerable time discussing Laura. Quote, that one chick from Utah that was basically yelling at Muslims, network engineer Clay Haynes told me privately as he had an undercover video of them doing that. Folks, it's there. It's real. James O'Keefe, Don Jr. retweeted James O'Keefe. Trump knows of James O'Keefe and the videos that he's put out. Absolutely. When people like that, I mean, Jack Posobiec, I mean, where do we go? I don't care if they ban Cernovich. I'm just saying, if they ban Cernovich, I mean, I'm just talking about some of the big names. Mm-hmm. What then now? Because Trump absolutely knows Jack Posobiec, his work.
Yeah,
and the things that he's done on Twitter.
He's got close to 300,000 followers. I mean, it's huge at this point. And so they're all on borrowed time. You can't say anything that could be, if it's true, you can't report it. And that's the problem. The problem with these social media platforms, and I'm going to try to make a pitch for an internet bill of rights of some sort, or something that could be, it's not necessarily legislation through the federal government, although if it ends up coming that way and it is worded properly and doesn't have all kinds of earmarks for all kinds of other laws and everything like that, I would support it. But I would like it to be some sort of an uprising of the people. But, you know, these social media platforms have become our matrix, our alternate universe. And this is kind of half-baked. I'm just kind of stream of consciousness right now. But I'm going to put it together and present it at some point. Maybe even talk about it a little bit at a breakout session at the American Priorities Conference. Who knows? But a pitch needs to be made. A paradigm shift needs to happen amongst libertarians, conservatives, Trump supporters, Democrat Trump supporters, whoever it may be, that increasingly virtual reality is becoming indistinguishable from actual reality, or as the Utes call it these days, IRL, in real life. It's becoming indistinguishable. And if you think about it, what is real life anyway? It is what we perceive from our five senses.
Yeah, perception is everything.
Yeah, I mean, everything that what we believe to be reality is nothing more than processed signals from your eyes, your ears, your nose, your taste buds, your sense of feeling, you know, touch, your skin, whatever. That's it. You got your five senses, and whatever signals get brought in from those five senses, your brain makes up what you consider to be reality.
Well, not only that, but the addiction to your cell phone, that a notification's gone off, that now you look at it and you get a sense of satisfaction that somebody sent you a tweet, somebody sent you a message, something somewhere, and that over and over and over and over again makes your brain make you chemically addicted to that feel good.
Right, and that's kind of like an in real life thing. But what if who's to say that somebody that spends more than 50% of their day on social media, maybe their real life is their experiences with other people, real human beings, through this electronic medium. I mean, it's just like the Matrix. It's just that you're not putting a 6-inch long electronic probe. It's like a plug in the back of your brain. You're bypassing that direct connection, and you're getting it remotely through your eyes.
That's Wi-Fi.
And if you're watching Periscope, through your ears. So it's really just eyes and ears, and you're reading it. So, and that's another thing. What's the difference between somebody speaking something to you and you reading what they said? I mean, you're literally looking at black and white characters on a piece of paper or on a screen, and yet when you're reading it, you can practically hear the person speaking. How is that different, you know?
No, absolutely.
That must have been a revelation to people that whatever you write on a piece of paper that can be considered language is equivalent to you saying it.
Yeah.
So how is it that we are to ignore the reality of our experiences on social media, or even like a video game? That would be more, I think the paradigm shift is more easily acceptable to people who've never thought of it this way. If you consider, instead of me I'm on pages that are on Twitter, I'm looking at a tweet, I'm scrolling through to different tweets, I'm looking at what people liked. It's very, very cryptic, archaic, whatever. Think of it as a 3D universe where you're an avatar, like some of these video games that people are playing, but you're playing against other people that are real human beings. They just happen to be portrayed as a character that you're trying to shoot or whatever kind of a first person shooter. But the thing is at what point does that become your reality? What percentage of your experience, your daily, weekly, annual experience of life has to be online before that becomes your real life? And then walking around and just perceiving things with your own eyes. I mean, I saw this with your own son, Brian, where he was spending a little bit too much time playing racing games as a very, very young child. We all thought it was great. We're like, look at him. He's going to become a great driver. And then, and by the way, Brian's son is an athlete. I mean, this kid is very coordinated. He's very, I can tell he's going to be a very good athlete. And
However,
when he was 2 years old playing video games, as soon as he got done and put it down, he would get off the chair and take 2 steps and fall over. And we're like, he's not clumsy. What's going on
That's
here?
not right.
And then I realized I have a actual memory of what he must be going through. Western Roll-A-Rama.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As kids?
Yeah, when you're a kid, do you remember this? You get out there and you do a 2-hour session at the roller rink. All right.
Or even all day, whatever.
Well, I think most of them are a couple hour sessions.
Okay.
And you're a little kid and you get out there and you're tripping all over the place because you don't do things on roller skates. So you're kind of learning it. And then about an hour into it, you start to get the hang of it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you start to get the hang of it. By about 2 hours into it, you're like a pro. You've figured it out. You can get around the turns. You can race with your friends. You're destroying everybody out there on the roller rink. And then the lights go on, the music stops, your session's over, your mom and dad are saying, come on, get off the rink, it's time to go home, get your shoes off, or get your skates off, And what happens when you take those first couple of steps?
Oh my God, your feet are still on roller wheels.
You're like falling all over the place. You can't believe how slow you're moving, right?
And you feel like you're still wheels, like the feeling sensation in your feet.
I felt like I was in mud. Because I was no longer rolling.
Right.
I had these shoes with soles and no wheels. And I was like, good. I can't even run as fast as I was going on those roller skates. So my point is that your body is, life is whatever you're experiencing.
Right.
All right. And so if you're on roller skates for your whole life, your life experience is that you have wheels, period. And you can't go through gravel.
Right? No.
Right? But if your life experience is interacting with people on social media, that is your real life. That is life to you. Now, some people are saying, well, Carrie, maybe that's not how it should be. Maybe you should turn off social media. Maybe this is a bad thing. Maybe you shouldn't sit so close to the TV, young man. You know, that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? The president of the United States uses Twitter almost exclusively to get information out to we the people.
Right.
Every single senator, every single congressman, every single governor, and probably every single state legislature. I have to admit, hardly any judges are on it on Twitter.
Yeah, I could
probably a good thing.
Yeah, probably a good thing. Judges aren't on it. But
you're not going to find Kavanaugh on Twitter.
No. But if you're trying to make a come up as a local politician or a local something or other,
you got to be on Twitter.
You got to make a presence.
So here's my point: isn't the American experience require Twitter?
Pretty much.
I mean, and it's a shame because you got the but my private company group. You know, that crowd, the my private company. Listen, here's the analogy I made. The analogy I made was, imagine if a private company came forward. Maybe they were small at first. Maybe just some guy named Jack Dorsey the First or something. Way back in the 1600s or 1500s. As soon as, Christopher Columbus discovers the New World, everybody starts sailing out and looking for greener pastures and gold and riches and whatever in the New World. And some guy named Jack Dorsey the First shows up in the New World and starts buying land, starts making deeds and saying, I own this piece of land. And he keeps going until he has the entire coastline. He has 500 miles inland, all the way from the top of what we know now as Maine, all the way down to the tip of Florida. And says, hey, all you people from the old world, from Europe, come on over. We got a beautiful land here. And he starts selling land for cheap. This is an individual, private individual. And soon it's just jam-packed with millions of people. Millions of people live all along the coast, inland for 500 miles. And and maybe you got states that are forming, and you have governors, and you have legislatures and all this. But all this land is owned by Jack Dorsey the First. And all of a sudden, he starts making some claims. And he starts saying, you know what, Brian, I don't like the way you're talking about people. And I think you should spend a little bit of time in jail.
What? But I didn't do nothing illegal.
I think I'm going to make a cage for you. And you're going to put in there maybe 24 hours, maybe 7 days, maybe 30 days, maybe indefinitely. Maybe we're going to unperson you. Maybe we're going to go ahead and send you to the gallows and not only kill you as punishment, but we're also going to erase anything that you've ever written. We're going to throw it in a fire. Anything that you've ever done that proves that you existed on this continent, we are going to go ahead and make that disappear. We're going to totally unperson you. And also, we may even punish people who acknowledge your existence that are left over.
Ooh.
Should something be done to a person that does this, that would own a private individual that owns all this land, who, because of their monopoly of this land,
you're infringing on the other man's free rights.
Just the pursuit of happiness, everything.
Your God-given rights are being violated.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, right of land ownership or whatever. But he has governorship. So my argument is, some people say, well, my private company. Jack Dorsey has a private company. It's his private company, whatever. And some people try to argue it's a public company because you can trade it. No. It's still a private company. We've had this argument on Smyth Radio before.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you could buy it on the public market, on stock market, it's still a private company. Just because it's publicly traded does not make it a government entity. Okay,
right.
So it's still a private company, but can't an argument be made that Twitter, with its domain over the virtual universe, and collectively you could throw in Facebook because they're obviously colluding with Twitter. You got YouTube, who's owned by Google, and Google is doing all kinds of diabolical stuff, and then PayPal's joining in on it by cutting everybody off from being able to participate financially in capitalism online.
Well, you're cutting, I mean, just for the example, Laura Loomer, you've literally cut her lifeline of money.
Yeah, and they're doing it to a lot of people. BitChute. People say, well, you need to make a competition. If you don't like YouTube, why doesn't somebody make a YouTube or something?
Well,
just something.
Here's why.
A MeTube. How about a MeTube?
Well, here's the problem. Problem is, Google owns YouTube. And Google will suppress you and not allow you to have. They got the Google.
They'll deplatform you.
Yes.
Gab.ai was totally deplatformed. When you logged into Gab.ai, it just said, sorry, we'll be back in maybe a couple months.
Try again
later. We're really sorry. We're being abused. We're being deplatformed, all this stuff. BitChute, who is a direct competitor with YouTube, was told, bro, you do not go up against Juggernaut. You do not. They're doing worse than what Rockefeller did.
Oh, yeah.
When Rockefeller was an oil magnate, what he would do, I thought, was much more ethical. If Brian decided, well, I'm going to start drilling for oil, and I'm going to start selling that oil, and I'm going to start transporting that oil, Rockefeller would come along and say, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy your company.
And if you don't sell,
well,
I've got some Guidos that are going to come visit you late at night.
It turns out Brian would have been offered money that he would have been happy with. I haven't heard very many stories of people saying that Rockefeller basically stole my company for less than what it was worth because he threatened to get sick as goons on me.
Well, and at the end of it too, Rockefeller in court said when he was told he had to break it up, he said, I made this entire industry. I made it what it is today, and you guys, you're gonna.
Yeah. So he was angry about it, but yeah, the point is that. My argument is that the collective of the tech giant monopoly, I call monopoly, which implies one company, because they're all colluding with each other against conservatives. My point is that they collectively act much more as a governing body of the virtual universe we call the interwebs than a private company that's just selling products, because they have governance over the people by punishing them, putting all kinds of oppressive rules over them and everything like that. So that's my pitch. And so
we have our next special guest, Magdalene Rose, on, and I'm going to play her 30-second clip for the American Priorities Conference. She is also going to be a speaker there as well. And this is an intro to Magdalene Rose.
Hey everyone, my name is Magdalene Rose. I'm a 19-year-old conservative and I'm going to be speaking at the American Priority Conference in DC. It's happening December 6th to December 8th. It's going to be an awesome free exchange of ideas. And if you're young and curious about conservative beliefs or populist beliefs, you should definitely come. It might really awaken your mind to some stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
So the American Priorities Conference will be December 6th, 7th, and 8th. And stop that music. Come on, stop. And we have the lovely Magdalene Rose. Welcome to Smyth Radio. It is our pleasure to have you tonight.
Once again, right?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh, we need volume. Is it quiet there?
You got the volume.
All right. How's it going, Magdalene?
Good. Thank you so much
I
for
have
having
to
me.
crank it. All right. So they're having you speak there, correct?
Yeah.
And you spoke at the Walk Away, which we got to see you there doing that. You have a YouTube channel, and that's how you got discovered. Can you tell us how you originally got discovered? Were you just trying to put your name out there, and just who was it that kind of found you?
Well, originally my videos just sort of did well on their own. And then I think eventually somebody who works with Brandon from Walk Away or was on his show forwarded one of my videos to him. And we got to talking, and then it sort of spiraled into, talking on his show and other shows. So I think that's how I first really got my first big push into this.
It sounds like a truly grassroots viral effort.
Yeah,
like when you first started making movies, it was probably like really low numbers, and then as people shared them, it just kind of grew. Yeah. That is truly viral right there. That's how it's done. And I truly believe, I know that my sister really was keeping me informed almost daily on the growth of Walk Away, because I never heard of it before she found it, and she just showed it to me, and people were spreading it, and she was talking about the numbers of people who were following the page on Facebook, and that seemed to be a truly genuine viral phenomenon too, which I think is great because that kind of stuff has staying power. And that's just great. So one thing I will tell you, people need to definitely go and subscribe to your YouTube channel, because it's great that you seem to intuitively know that after 2 minutes, it's tough to watch YouTube videos. So you go 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and that's it. So, do you go by a script? Do you rehearse? Do you just go?
Yeah, I did a couple videos during primary season where I talked to people's press secretaries and sometimes the candidates themselves. And those ones I had notes for because I wanted to list their specific accomplishments or what they want to do their platform. But aside from that one, or when I'm announcing something that I'm going to be on something, I don't have a script for anything.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. That's a skill.
Yeah, no, well, I was looking at your bio and one of the videos that you had just posted, and yes, they're 2 minutes and 20 seconds or less, which for us ADD folks, that's pretty cool.
Right.
So you're telling me these, like, you just sit there for a second and say, okay, I'm going to do a video on this, and then you just freestyle.
Yeah, sometimes I'll want to do the video all day, and I'll get more and more into it.
Okay.
Like when I did the one about Molly Tibbetts or anything, I had not wanted to do that video, but then I saw Elizabeth Warren's comments, and I had to do that video.
Yeah.
Or when I was in the car when I found out Trump's travel ban had been upheld, so I just did that one in the car. while my mom was shopping at something. So that one was
Wow.
like the first one. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because, you know, I've been watching like Philip DeFranco for years. He's been on YouTube for years and years, and he's able to get across the kind of information that you get across, but he uses jump cuts. So he'll do like one sentence and then he'll record another sentence. And by the time he's done, he'll spend an entire week editing all the spaces out of it until you have this, you know, 10-minute long video where he's talking really fast and there's no spaces in between any of the words. And, but I watched your videos very carefully. I noticed no jump cuts.
I don't know how to do jump cuts.
Yeah, there's no there's no, you know, these pauses. It's like you just go, 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 go. And you don't lose track of where you're at, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I cannot do that.
Well, and then when you speak too, you speak fairly quickly, and you move right through the idea. You start it, you get through it, and you end it, and
you get to the
2
point.
minutes.
Yeah, I love it. It's just great, and I think that is a communication skill that I think is going to be a very big asset to the MAGA movement, which is why I think a lot of people, if they never thought of your talent that way, I think they should and start really taking you seriously, because that's really important, especially with these youngsters that are, you know, can't really, you know, they see a 15-minute video or longer and it's like, oh gosh, do I really want to dedicate that long of my life to that? It was like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's like, I don't care if I hate what she says. I can deal with 2 minutes.
I get comments like that. Like, I hate everything you said, but 2 minutes or like less than that's not really a big investment. So I can do that.
That is so true.
So let me ask you this then. Question. What do you think in your past, in your life growing up, that led to this? Was it natural, or was it a combination of things that just throughout growing up, whether it be parents, whether books, whether this and that, that may have led you to who you are right now?
Well, I think making videos was sort of in a reaction to what I was seeing in the news and stuff. But I think my ability to do it is anchored partly in me being a debater, in me being able to think of things quickly and be able to organize my thoughts very quickly. And I think the other part of it is I didn't grow up in, you know, like an establishment world or anything. I'm from New York. I grew up in that kind of place. So there's not really the videos that I'm like the most nervous about making are the ones that do the best. So I think it's that backing and that sort of feeling from my parents and from my friends that there's no line you can't really cross if you're really passionate about something, that allows me to be more upfront in my videos. I've done a couple of videos where I've gotten messages from conservative leaders like, this is horrible. You cannot say this anymore.
What?
And I'm like, yeah, but you responded to it, so I must have done something right.
I love it. I love it.
You have what I consider constructive criticism of conservatives sometime, and I think that some people are a little thin-skinned.
And I don't want to bring up what happened here recently with somebody, but we're all nice. We're all playing nice. We're all playing nice. The American Priorities Conference, December 6th through the 8th, and I will absolutely have to say that I agree with you on that thing that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
But I know that I have your back on probably at least 95% of your criticisms. I have your back because the other 5% I haven't seen yet.
Well, and the thing is people should be open to constructive criticism, and I don't think that anything that you said was out of line. I think it should be something that maybe a discussion should take place, and maybe everybody learns from it. So I think that's good. It's funny that you say that some people actually voice their concerns in the comments section.
I got removed from a bunch of retweet groups by somebody who was like, you cannot post this. What is wrong with you? You're answering me, so we're making inroads.
Right. Anything, what is it? There is no such thing as bad news or whatever.
Well,
coverage.
The only bad publicity is when you get none. When you have people, and I've told people to do this in some of our organizations, our groups, if somebody is saying something bad about you or bad about your organization, or somebody is lashing out, no matter what the amount of followers they have, hit the mute button. And there was an issue. There was a glitch with the mute button a couple of weeks ago, but that has been fixed.
Okay.
The mute button on Twitter, so they don't know that you can't hear them. Don't do the block.
It's like a shadow
don't
block.
them. Yeah, don't block them.
Yeah, muting is a shadow block, basically. You're doing everything that you would do with a block, but nobody knows. So that's why I mute most of the time. But so if you're 18 right now, you would have been
19.
No, just turned 19. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Okay. You would have been 16 when Trump came down the elevator?
Yeah, just 16. Yeah,
were you fired up at that point, or really? Okay.
I came home from high school with my boyfriend, and we were sitting on the couch, and he was on TV, and there had been sort of rumors he was going to run and whatever, and I sat there, and I didn't see him come down the escalator. I saw him just when he was beginning to talk. And he was talking, and that was a long speech. And my boyfriend was like, "Don't you want to go do something else? We have homework." I'm like, "No, I'm not getting up. Are you insane?"
Are you still with that guy?
No.
Yeah, good for you.
Right.
Good for
I'm like,
you.
"Are you out of your mind? Do you not see what's happening?"
This is Trump, bruh.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Well, let me go back real quick to your upbringing in New York, like New York City or upstate. Oh, New York City. So I've known some people from New York, and I don't mean to pigeonhole everybody, but I think it's the being brought up in such dense population. You're always around a lot of people all the time. You can't. Were you in formal debate, or are you talking about debating friends?
No, formal debate. I was not debating.
Did you also argue with people in public?
Yeah. You can't be in high school in 2016 and be a conservative. It's like the best boot camp you can ever have.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
So, and here's why I bring all this up. My friends from New York, part of winning an argument is being able to not let the other guy get a
word in edgewise.
Yeah, you can't get so your ability to just say everything without an If you're arguing with a New Yorker and you stop to say
you've lost.
It's over. It is over. They're going to interrupt you and they're going to bury you right there, and you're not going to get back in. And so that might be how you may have actually developed the skill based on where you grew up. Yeah, probably 100%. So awesome.
You're going to be speaking at American Priorities Conference December 6th, 7th, and 8th. Folks, go to the website right away, AmericanPriority.com. Go to the website, get your tickets. There's limited tickets on everything's limited. And you are going to be speaking, and tell us more about that.
Well, I don't know a lot about it. They haven't told me a lot about it.
We just know it's going to be very informative, and there won't be any. Awesome. Yeah.
I think I'm talking on a youth panel or a roundtable discussion from young people in the MAGA world, not really the conservative world, but more like the MAGA world. I assume we're talking about solutions and things and the issues that are plaguing not only young conservatives, but young people who just are not brainwashed.
Right.
And sort of the dangers they're facing now. And personally, I want to see more of a solution to that, to how these kids are going to be helped out, to them understand there's a community that isn't anchored even in a political party, but just in people that care.
I tell you what, I actually said this to Charlie Kirk, and I say it to everybody who I think is dancing around what is there's a lot of conservatives, a lot of Republicans that for some reason they're blind to this. And that is that the Democrat Party has a captive audience of every single child from 5 years old all the way up through, and if they stay in school until their master's degree, possibly up to 26, 27, 28 years old, and then they get unleashed onto the world, and they're voting, and they're making policy, and they're writing reports on climate change.
And they're pushing for younger and younger and younger, saying that your child needs to be in the moment they're breathing air. They need to be educated to give them head start in life.
Yeah, they want to get them at 3 now, right?
Right.
So people talk about liberal education, indoctrination, if you will. Almost always they're talking about college. You know, you got
oh no, it's way before that.
Oh, I know, and it's crazy that I'm not hearing that enough. I have written so many tweets where I tag Betsy DeVos, who's our education secretary.
I know.
I don't know what she's doing.
She was a hopeful.
I don't think she's doing. She may not even know. Does she not know? Well, that's the problem.
How young would you say that you can remember in public education where you realized this ain't right?
7.
Wow.
Yeah.
7. Now, did you get help? Did your parents say, "Hey"? Yeah,
my parents did, but I was in school in New York, and we just getting into the middle of the primaries. And, everyone was nobody really cared. Most people were for Hillary, and then Obama got the nomination. It was like, bam, that's it. Everyone's for Obama now, or you're evil and you're a bigot.
Oh, yeah, you're racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not cool with that.
Right. It just does seem so dishonest, doesn't it?
Why are you so racist? Why don't you like the black man? Why? That in itself is racist.
Yeah.
It is. It's ridiculous.
It did feel like that. And even like Charles Payne, who, I don't know if you know, he's on Fox Business, and he's very conservative.
He follows us on Twitter.
He's just really... he just is all about the conservative cause. But then when it came down to 2008, he admitted that he voted for him, and he was very, very sorry for it. And he said...
Apologetic. Yeah.
He's very apologetic because he realized that his reason for voting was just ridiculous. And so now he's voting for the ideas and not for the skin color. And I think that was the problem. But it's not just him. It's like it was attempted that everybody should vote for Hillary because she's a woman, and it's just like this nonstop thing that's going on. And of course you get into school and we're indoctrinated into believing all this stuff. I remember when I was in high school feeling I was 16, I think, 16 years old, and having a feeling of euphoria when Clinton was elected.
Not me. Sorry, man. Not me.
Why would I have a feeling of euphoria as a 16-year-old?
It's media.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like some odd, something's been inserted into your mind. Nobody really knows why.
It's true.
And the thing is, I feel like people in the conservative world don't want to hear this, but a lot of the young people who are very into Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, it is an emotional component. So to make them, or to make other Democrat politicians like horrible Hitler people, is very appealing to one aspect. But when you're talking about the youth, if you don't lead with ideas, if you don't lead with anything else, you just alienate them because they are so emotionally attached to them. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say on that point, we're all talking at the same time. On that point, when you talk about ideas, why do we think, everybody listening right now, ask yourself, why is it when scientists come out with a climate change report, scientists are saying this is happening, this is true. I'm 43 years old and I believed it. When they told me when I was a teenager and in my 20s that we were all going to die because the ozone is gone and we need to stop using hairspray.
Yeah, no more hairspray.
And we're all going to die of sun poisoning and all this, UV rays, it was all the rage. Turns out they didn't know what they were talking about. Turns out the hole in the ozone was always there. It's always going to be there, and it's going to be okay. And here we are, fast forward all these years later, and I see the same arguments over and over again. And the reason why people keep falling for this is because it's being told by the teachers to the children that this is a reality, this is true, and I'm having to combat it with my 12-year-old daughter. I have to tell her, now I know your teacher's telling you it's true and real, but it's not. It's a hoax. And don't get into a fight with your teacher because there's just no purpose, but just know that she's not right.
And with that, all these social justice warrior stuff, right? No one ever talks about China or India. These two countries pollute. I mean, there's no denying that they pollute everything. They have people in the street to walk around in doctor's masks because the air is unsafe. So if we're going to talk about climate warming and global warming and everything, fine. But I want to see some equality. I want to see the UN take up their pen and write some sort of sanctions against them. Or like Macron's, falling apart in Paris right now because he tried to raise the diesel tax to combat global warming. Okay, fine, you did that. But are you going to call out Beijing? No. So have a little equality.
They cleaned up Beijing, didn't they? They put all those fans there and made it look good for the Olympics. And they blocked all the roads off and said nobody could drive in Beijing months before the Olympics. And they put all these huge, monstrous fans to try and clean the city up before the Olympics came. And then once it was come and gone, then it went back to horrible pollution. And they are putting online, they are bringing online, China is, coal-fired plants to the tune of half a dozen a day, coal-fired plants just left and right. So don't, Yeah, don't give me the whole global warming thing. But I know this week you had some tweets out about that earlier. That you didn't agree with it.
No, it's ridiculous. Like sun dimming? We're doing sun dimming?
I retweeted.
There's going to be mass extinction. If they
hold on.
that.
She did. She put this. You put that article up, and I read it, and I retweeted it with a comment because I had to. You want to talk about that? That CNN posted this article.
Oh my God. Yeah, Harvard and Yale, the great apparently epicenters for thought, have decided that they think the only way to stop this is to start with sun dimming chemicals.
Oh my!
Has no one seen a sci-fi movie? Yeah. Has no one read a book? What's wrong with these people?
So
did they not know science?
No, in the article they said what they were going to do is send whether it be hot balloons or big balloons or government aircraft or whatever to go into the stratosphere and emit all these chemicals in the stratosphere to dim the sun because it's too hot. Isn't that what they were saying?
You know, I almost encourage it. I almost feel like encouraging it.
No, it's going to kill us.
No, this is why I feel like encouraging it, because they're bluffing. They have to be bluffing. Global warming isn't about the globe actually warming. It's about convincing people to give all the power to the government. They're not going to dim the sun.
Well, no, but they put that out there in what's supposed to be like a reputable website. And like young people are like, you know what's a good idea? Let's dim the sun.
It's like putting shades on. It's like putting shades on.
You just turn it down, a dimmer switch.
No,
just turn it down.
If you know anything about science, you would know that dimming the sun would cause a massive extinction event. Massive. There would be mass extinction. One really bad volcano could cause the kind of dimming they're talking about, which they say, or not. What is it? The asteroid
that hit.
Yeah. So a big asteroid hits the Earth, and it causes the entire extinction of not just the dinosaurs, but probably thousands of other species. And we're talking about doing this intentionally. It's crazy.
Well, and if you let them do it, it's going to be a big money grab, just like Solyndra. Just like the damn windmills that are killing all the bald eagles.
The turtles. You know, the turtles are affected by all the solar panels.
Well, that and the lights at night during mating season.
Yeah.
So did you have any other thoughts on the global hoax of, because they try to call Trump out because Trump said it was so cold. And they were making fun of Trump and saying he was an idiot. Because,
we also called it a hoax
because no Trump, just because it's climate chaos.
They also blame Trump for hurricanes. I don't really.
Yeah, that's true.
Authority on anything. It's my thing about global warming. You want to have a real conversation about global warming? Fine, we'll have that. Have the UN have a conference. They're very good at that, and get China and India and Pakistan and all these countries to the table, and we'll discuss their polluting. And when they cut down on polluting, we will cut down on polluting. Then and only then will we do that. And when Macron's country is falling apart, he has like a 23% approval rating now. People lighting cars on fire. He tried to raise a diesel tax. The people of this world do not want the things that would actually happen if you prioritize global warming. This is a misnomer. So if you do this is what's going to happen, and populism and right-wing governments are going to come in. So keep doing it, Macron. Keep trying to attack us here.
Well, and California is destroying itself under its own idiocy. They passed, I think it did pass, that they are now going to restrict and limit water to just a couple of they want to eventually get to it by 2024 or 2030 to where each and every individual person has. I'm not being too far off with the numbers, but I think it's like 2 gallons a day.
California is becoming a weird place.
Where the average person,
even very strange,
right? Even to take a shower is like they were saying an average person normally uses 50 gallons a day, whatever the number is. The washing machines that are not the newer ones use almost 40 gallons of water. I'm just letting you know. So if you don't have a brand new washer and dryer, if you don't have a brand new washer, you're using 40 gallons of water. And you're only allotted 5 gallons a day?
California is becoming a strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who wants to live like that? So the American Priorities Conference was named for the America First agenda. So like prioritizing America. Have you had a chance to think about like what that means to you?
Yeah, I think the things that always concern me the most tend to be foreign policy driven and education. So I think in terms of putting America first, it means actually paying attention to what our interests align with which countries. So I think right now when you saw Trump go and him talk about all the problems with Germany and them trying to allow all these pipelines to be built and everything, you saw him put America first. I think it's not so much an isolationist tendency, like more like the Rand Paul, but it's much more aligned in a populist viewpoint. And I think it means, saying this country and I have not always gotten along, but they have nuclear weapons, so we're going to get along with them. And this country might have some serious moral problems. But again, this is not our problem. We don't have many citizens living there, so we're going to continue with treaties. And I think in terms of education, it means prioritizing students over unions.
Right. No, absolutely. And speaking about that, a video was put out this week, the first time in 69 years. North Korea soldiers, I don't know if they're generals or colonels or whatever they call them out there, North Korean and South Korean on the DMZ. Fence was taken down, and they both stepped up to each other and shook hands. For as much as you hate Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un, the whole dynasty, for as much as you hate all of that and all the people they've murdered, this is a step in the right direction for once.
For peace, if we can have Obama do the wave with Castro, we can have Trump, shake this guy's hand. I remember when Otto Warmbier was tried. I remember thinking, so this is the standard now. This guy's only a few years older than me. This is the standard now. If a Democrat is in office, if Hillary Clinton wins and I'm in another country, I'm just done. And I felt so vindicated when he brought his body back, because at least it was a movement forward. You can't judge another country for every bad thing and take no responsibility.
Right, and we talked about that on the show. Donald Trump was truly, I think, to his core, very moved and very, very angered.
I thought it was going to move him to action. We were a little concerned, but what we didn't know at the time is that Kim Jong-un is not Kim Jong-il. They're definitely two very different people, because we found out I didn't know this at the time until I did some research, is that Kim Jong-un grew up in a Western country, and that influenced him. And, he watched NBA basketball when he was in school and all this kind of stuff.
He played it and loves basketball, loves the sport.
And so he's a lot different than Kim Jong-il, who would not have had that kind of exposure to not just America, but Western culture in general. So he was probably more adversarial to it, just out of fear of the unknown. Whereas Kim Jong-un looks at the Western world and is like, why can't Korea be more like that? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
Even China this week, I don't know if it's making concessions, but coming to the table with Trump, I saw something about that.
Yeah. They're equaling out how much they're going to be paying in the fallout from this trade war. And with the tariffs that have been going on, and with China, I mean, that is a communist country. And the fact that you have Democrats who are not calling this out, I mean, this is what they're supposed to be good at, is regulating and calling out bad things. And what kind of world is it where Marco Rubio is picking up the slack here? That's not appropriate. If they're going to be the human rights leaders and the social justice warriors, then they need to do it on all fronts. They need to call that out and what's going on in Iran. They don't get to just be selective about their outrage in foreign policy.
Right. And their outrage with Donald Trump's comments this week about Saudi Arabia. As much as I have issues with Saudi Arabia in the sense of the documentaries that I've seen where you cannot vacation there, they had to sneak in cameras there. They have a square called Chop Chop Square. So that's where people get their heads chopped off. As bad as that is, I think that it was a good move that Donald Trump, at this point in time, because of, I think, the control that they have over oil right now, I think at this point in time, I think that's a good bet.
That is a good bet. And also, I mean, Democrats are always talking about how they don't like the solidification of these conservative leaders, and they don't like the unifying of like the Weisgard Alliance. They don't like any of these things. But yet they want to send Saudi Arabia's weapons contracts and everything into the arms of China and Russia, which is what will happen. They want to send all of these things and create this like new strong Axis power. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, this is not a forward-thinking country. This is a country that's very behind with the times, but it's also not our country.
Right.
And I don't see what rights we have with this. If we cannot comment about what's going on in France and Germany and all these places, We have no right to comment about what's going on in those areas in Saudi Arabia.
Right, and we got a good friend who follows us on Twitter and is always posting videos up and different clips and things like that in Iran. He lives in Iran and posting up those videos. The people in Iran, guys, you gotta have the citizens in your prayers. The people in Iran are absolutely uprising. They're
being oppressed by a tyranny.
They're screaming out against Islam, Sharia law, their government, the Shah. They're done with the oppression. This generation, since 1979, thank you, Jimmy Carter, for the installation of the Shah. This generation is done with it.
It kind of reminds me, doesn't it remind you of like this uprising of the youth in the Soviet Union in the late 80s?
Oh, yeah.
That kind of led to the fall of the Berlin Wall and then the collapse of the Soviet Union. So really it boils down to just us leading by example. We don't have to govern them. That's not American priority.
Those citizens love what they see from us. They want that implemented, because they don't want to move here.
Every country, most of the people, I think, in other countries want their own Donald Trump. You see what's happening in Mexico. People are like, we love that he's putting his people first.
Did you see that? Yes.
Yeah, I saw the video.
Yeah.
You have so many people in England who are like, yeah, I mean, I'd like somebody who helps us out. There's now like a worldwide sense of, even in the most liberal countries, they want somebody who's at least going to fight for what they're really pushing.
Yeah, I want somebody in my corner.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why Ocasio-Cortez is such a big deal, because it's like, at least the liberals and the socialists are like, she's fighting for us. She's not compromising. I do think her supporting Pelosi is going to hurt her, though. I think that shine is going to come off. When the socialists are like, you're supporting, I think that shine is coming off a little bit. I think they've overestimated how much she is really dedicated to her cause, but that's another story.
Yeah, and I think that if we were to properly teach people the bad things about communism, leftism in general, Marxism, whatever you want to call it, then when Ocasio-Cortez opens her mouth, she ends up looking bad by default because we had already properly taught people. But I mean, I'm telling you, we have got to work hard at taking back over. He's got the Leninade.
The
Leninade.
Get hammered and sickled. A drink worth standing in line for.
Yeah.
Somebody bought this for us.
It's the right color.
Yeah. It actually looks red on the screen, which is good, but I'm looking at it. It looks orange to me.
It looks like high C orange drink.
Yeah, like or
but,
Crush.
But I won't open it.
But anyway, one thing I want to tell you is I hope that I don't want to tell you what to do, but I really hope that you make a main focus of your messaging to try to wrestle back control over the Department of Education. And some people say, well, we should just abolish it. I'm actually for that. But if it's kind of like, hey, we need to make it a little bit more politically neutral, I would take that as a consolation prize. But I think it should be more decentralized. Why do we have to have a federal agency for the Department of Education? It was only like that recently. Was it Jimmy Carter?
Jimmy, thank you, Jimmy Carter.
Oh, that wasn't even that long ago.
Another great decision for a four-year president.
Oh, yeah. So that needs to go. So I really hope that you focus on that, because I feel like not enough people on the right are recognizing that as being the source. If you made a source of all the ills of the United States, or the things that are hurting us or holding us back or whatever, and you made a pyramid out of it, and you made the base is like the biggest thing, and maybe the stuff at the top isn't really, it's a lot smaller. I feel like the entire base of that
foundation, education.
It's the Department of Education. It is the main thing. And I don't want to mention his name again because I don't want to make it look like I'm bashing him, but you have people out there that are like, we're going to the campuses, we're talking to 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, and we're going to tell them that this crazy liberalism that they know is wrong, and we're going to prove them wrong, we're going to debate them. And I'm like, why do you think that they believe this stuff?
I know she's got something to say about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's just like, right now, I gotta be honest with you, I'm very disappointed in the fact that there's now this sort of look that I get a lot of these messages from young conservatives, that young conservative girls now are like perpetually angry. There's this sort of stigma that's going on right now, and a lot of it is originating from only targeting colleges. So people go in and they don't have any talking, they don't have any real talking points other than, Trump is great and everything. So they get into these altercations with Antifa or with young liberals. And so they never come across as soft or kind or anything.
Like
they
you.
Come across as like mean and like hostile. I would like that to stop. I think the young conservative female leaders, some of them need to not always be screaming. This would be helpful to me.
There's one video that I absolutely just recently, and I love her to death, and I think she's great. However, you're absolutely right, and I didn't realize that probably is hurting the movement. I would agree with you 100%. But being educated, and my whole point with the going to college campuses and preaching to the kids there and getting into the altercations. The thing that the young conservatives don't realize is that they're trying to put out this fire on the college campus, not knowing that there's a pipeline of fuel being pumped into the center of that fire, and it is an endless supply of fuel.
Right.
And you're never going to put it out.
And they're putting out the edges of the flames. It's like, go after the source. So,
and every year there's a new flock of students that comes in. So you're never going to play catch up.
It's like swimming upstream.
I don't understand why we're not demanding to see the curriculum that's being passed. So we're not demanding that there be a bipartisan commission in every state to look at this, to look at what curriculum's being created. I mean, people wonder why homeschooling is soaring. It's not because of political stuff. It's because these kids get no education. The education they do get is whack job stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And even like my kids are homeschooled, and every Monday they have a co-op where they go to this big giant mega church that allows them to utilize the church for free for the whole day of Monday. And they take elective classes that may be fun and meet with their friends and hang out. And there was a mother that had a T-shirt on that said United States Air Force vet. And I caught me off. I'm like, are you a vet? And she said, yeah, absolutely. And ironically, she took the same course in the same class and became a machinist and went through the same school and knew some people that I knew. And it's like, wow, what a small world. But I told her about the show, and I automatically, they support Trump. I didn't even ask.
I wonder how many liberals are homeschooling their kids. That's kind of an interesting stat.
They're unschooling, you know, but unschooling.
Kids
like run around in trees.
Right. That's the free range kids.
Oh, that's right. Man, we were free range though.
Yeah.
Mike Cernovich had it right. He said Generation X was raised by wolves. So he did have it right.
A little bit about that.
I had to laugh because we were.
So Magdalene Rose. American Priorities Conference, December 6th, 7th, and 8th. And I've been asking all our guests, are you going to be there all 3 days?
Yes, I believe so.
Awesome.
It's going to be a whole weekend-long party, I guess. It's going to be lots of fun.
Oh, absolutely. So do you know what day you're going to be speaking on by any chance?
No, not yet.
Okay. But so we'll know by next week. I promise.
Yeah.
Next Sunday is our last show before the conference. So we'll have all the details in stone. A lot of I kept hearing about Buzz being in, not being in.
Last I heard, it might be.
He tweeted out today that he's in.
Oh, that's right. He did tweet. Okay. I didn't want to say anything. See, we're in the inner circle. And we have to be careful what we say because if it's not confirmed, we in trouble. But if Buzz himself, I did see that tweet. Okay. Buzz said he is going to be there. So Buzz Patterson.
But that doesn't matter. Magdalene Rose is going to be there.
That's right.
That's all that matters to me.
That's right. 100%.
No, you are definitely, my daughters look up to you. You are definitely an inspiration to them, as well as Katja Lee. Her daughter looks up to you as well.
Yeah.
And we're just really excited about the youth that's coming up and embracing
the capitalism?
I don't know. It's
conservatism, libertarianism. How about the Constitution?
Embracing what's right. What we're talking about is the right thing. All the other stuff don't work.
It's been proven. Any last words?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody at the conference, and thank you for having me on.
How do people follow you?
At Magdalene Rose on Twitter, and the same thing for YouTube.
There's an H in there, isn't there?
Yeah, can you spell?
Yes.
Here, spell that.
Magdalene with an H.
I got it. MAHGDALEN.
Oh, we have it up on the screen. Awesome.
ROSE.
Yes.
On Twitters. Awesome, Magdalene. We will see you there next, not this coming week, but the week after.
Yep. Week and a half.
All right, have a good night. Thank you.
All right, have a good one. We thank her so much for coming on. She is such a great, she's a great everything. She's a great guest. But I will tell you right now, you're looking at an up-and-coming star there.
Oh, absolutely.
She's got all the things you need to be there. I mean, the great spokesperson.
Okay, let me just throw this. Let me just say this. She's 19.
Just turned 19.
And she's talking to two old dudes. When I say old dudes, we, in her mind, at 19 are old dudes. I'm just saying.
When I was 19,
if I was 19 talking to a 40-year-old dude with a beard.
Well, the point is that at our age, it's hard to look up to somebody so much younger. But I'm going to tell you right now.
Whatever she needs.
Pretty impressive.
Right. Whatever she needs, I'd give it to her. I'd help her out in any form, fashion whatsoever. I mean, we do here on the show because we love having her on. She's great. These are the people that we need to support, folks.
Right.
This is the new up-and-coming minds. She's got the PayPal.me account. Those are the things. Cut the cable. Support Smyth Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. Support the American Priorities Conference. Be there or be square. I'll put it up again one more time.
Yeah, somebody said homeschool is the only way to protect our youth. Marcia said that. It is right now, but that's a shame. That is such a shame that is our only way to protect our youth right now. I was going to, we could have talked a long time about that, but I didn't want to, I don't want to tie her up too long. But, we could talk about how, when we go to college campuses, we're talking to adults. College students are adults, and you go toe-to-toe with them mentally, and you debate them, and that's that. When you talk about kids, you can't really go and tell them that their teachers are lying to them. There would be something morally wrong about us telling a 12-year-old seventh grader, hey, your teacher's lying to you, or hey, abortion's wrong, prove me wrong. You know, but
Louder with Crowder does that.
But no, at the college campus, he doesn't do that to seventh graders.
Oh no, college campus,
right?
Yeah, sorry.
But here's my point. That's where we need to maybe kind of tackle going after the parents, because they're the ones who have the influence over the Department of Education, because they're the ones that have to send their kids there. They're the ones that have to decide whether or not their child should stay at that school. It really is an uphill battle for people like us in the state of America today, because these young parents who have young children, because they're probably a little bit younger as parents.
Right.
They're going to work and they're trying to put food on the table. They got to pay a mortgage. They just send the kids off to school and then they go and they run to work all day. Now I got something in my eye. It's spreading. It's like pink eye going around. No. But anyway, so it's almost like we got to educate the parents. Like, hey, are you aware that your child is being taught X or Y or Z?
Well, they're only aware and shocked and awe when the kid comes home and says, oh, yeah, we all do this.
My 5-year-old daughter came home from school. She was 12 at the time, but when she was 5, she came home and said, I feel sorry for Reagan in our class. I'm like, why? Because she's black, and I'm like, okay, where's this going? Apparently, it's the only black student in her class that year. She felt sorry for her because she learned about how black people had crosses burned in their front yard because
Democrats,
people dressed up like ghosts and would do that and terrorize them. And she felt sorry for her black student. First of all, how must it feel to be Reagan in that class?
Secondly, why in the Sam hell are we showing these images and teaching our kids about this at that age?
Why are we doing that?
That should be a high school curriculum, and it should be taught by Prager University.
I was angry. I was really angry. So, of course, and she goes to a very good school. It's not some inner city public school. It's actually a private school.
Private Catholic school.
But they are beholden to Common Core, and that was part of the curriculum. And so I said, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? And so I complained a lot, and I'm sure a lot of other parents did too. And luckily for me, it turns out that they got enough complaints that now it is school policy to actively combat the bad messaging from Common Core. So they have to teach it, but when they do, they start to encourage the students to question what it is that they're reading or learning or whatever. So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. But they still have to go through it, and that's a problem. That's such a problem.
So real quick, American Priorities Conference. During the conference, there will be a showing of the movie Hoaxed.
Awesome.
A movie, documentary?
It's a documentary.
Okay, the documentary Hoaxed by Mike Cernovich and executive producer Dr. Jane Ruby, who we have had on the show, who will also be speaking. Will she be speaking?
She's speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Jane Ruby, who will be speaking at American Priorities
I'm not sure
Conference.
if she's also doing a breakout session or if part of the breakout session is her speaking, but she's definitely, you have a chance to hear Dr. Jane Ruby. And you can follow her also on Twitter at Dr. Jane Ruby, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And this is Mike Cernovich's...
We got a trailer?
Yeah, we got the trailer, but I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Okay, we got the trailer for Mike Cernovich's movie Hoaxed.
Well, the way I look at it is that if somebody has to fight, and I know that if they're hitting us, it is because they fear us. So every time they hit me, every time they hit me, I'm like hyped. I'm like, they're lying about me again. People go, why don't you sue ABC? And I go, I love it when they lie about me. I love it when they attack me, when they hate on me, because that means they fear me, because The Economist takes their orders from the Rothschild family. So we are literally being attacked by the Rothschild. That is amazing. Oh, it feels great. I love it.
And why will you demand that leaders of the Democrats disavow the violence in Antifa the way you demanded Trump disavow violence from his supporters? This is being completely covered up.
They realize that this is the only place for real news, and now they're trying to attack and lie about us and claiming that we're Russian agents and all that.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
In fact, through WikiLeaks, she says one thing. Oh no! All right, let's see if we can get Congressman Collins back. Obviously, we just lost his satellite feed. Fake news media every day. Can anybody do real journalism today? Can they just do real journalism?
Because this is real news. We don't make stuff up like ABC does, like Bloomberg does.
Oh, where's the interview of you demanding that Bernie Sanders disavow Antifa? Disavow Antifa.
When every day you're called fake news, you're lied about, when you get things right, you do have to remind people, look, watch what the fake news media is calling us, watch what they're saying about us. And they are so desperate for war now that they're trying to claim that us...
Well, she had pneumonia. I mean...
How do you know? Who told you that?
Well, the campaign told us that.
Why would you trust the campaign?
Bam!
The point is...
Owned. It's very important that this get out there. Thank you.
I know that if they're hitting us, it is because they fear us, knowing that that is the level of resistance we're getting, because that's the kind of impact we're having. So that is what I focus on, is the...
And that is Hoaxed by Mike Cernovich, which will be playing. Get your tickets to that. That is an absolute must see.
We've seen it, and it's worth it. It's it is. There's something about that movie, the way it's put together, that makes it so worth seeing. I'm telling you.
Riveting. That documentary is going to go down in history as a historical documentary. I mean, literally,
I think so.
Documenting historical events that went down during the campaign, the run up, all up until they were still adding things to that movie, all up until just recently.
Yeah, it sounds to me like they might have to have a sequel eventually.
Yes. So we're looking for a sequel. Now, folks, I know that there's some people out there that may have opinions of Mike Cernovich one way or another, things that he tweets out one way or another. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything anybody says. Okay?
Right.
But that's his right to say whatever he wants to say. However, I will pitch this movie because we saw the entirety of it.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
We sat and we talked with him afterwards, a little roundtable session of a handful of people, asking questions, talking to him, picking his brain. And if you're there at the American Priorities Conference and you get a ticket to watch Hoaxed, you will have the ability to talk directly to Mike Cernovich, express your views, express your opinion.
Right. Somebody went off on him in St. Louis, and I thought that that it was a healthy exchange because went back and forth, and I thought that
he handled it very well.
Both of them handled it well. There was some criticism of it that was handled very, very professionally and very civilly, and I thought that was good because everybody needs to hear some critical feedback, and it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike Cernovich is going to be there. Get your tickets. And real quick, as we're rounding everything out, lightning around real quick, I told you guys about the invasion in Mexico, and we hinted a little bit about that with Magdalene Rose. The invaders that invaded, the people from Honduras and Guatemala that invaded Mexico, Donald Trump has worked a deal with the Mexican government. The invaders will not be allowed to enter America and will have to wait in Mexico as their asylum requests are being processed. Now, Donald Trump came out and talked about this, and we all know the asylum requests, 90% don't even get qualified, or 75%
Which
don't
makes
qualify.
sense. I mean, asylum isn't just... It's very narrow and very specific, and you have to have evidence of it. It makes sense that a lot of it is rejected. It makes sense.
Right. So with that being said, there have been some disturbing videos, and I'm going to put this one up there for you folks to see on the show. This is a very disturbing video, and I'll talk you through it for those of you audio only. This is a aerial camera view of the Mexican-American border, where all these invaders are hanging out and waiting, just walking up to the border. And now all of a sudden, by the thousands, they are making a mad dash for the border to run across and literally overrun Border Patrol. It's just a 13-second clip. And you can see...
Wow. So they're there, and they are doing exactly what we feared that they would do, which is try to do a mass invasion. Because a lot of people don't know this, but outside of a full-blown military buildup and defense, there is nothing on Earth that stops 4,000 people in a whole group, densely packed, from just running. There's no stopping that.
We've talked about it before. China, if they could get all their people just to march across Europe, you couldn't stop them. We don't have enough bullets to kill them all. It's just not possible.
Yeah, there would have to be a military buildup, and that's the thing. If the border, if it just gets overrun in a if you spread that 4,000 across, you'd probably end up with the same result. But I think that there would be more of an advantage of Border Patrol to pick individuals off individually. But we don't have, eyes every single place. So some of them would be unopposed completely. But you put 4,000 all in one spot and just have them rush all through all at once. Nothing's stopping that.
And we've also said this example as well. If you took the entire football team, all the coaches, all the coaching staff, all filled in the end zone of a football field, and you by yourself with a fully automatic machine gun, fully loaded, endless belt feed, so it won't even stop. They charged at you and you started firing, they would overrun you. You could not.
You would not make it.
No, it would be done.
You wouldn't make it. There would be enough people to get through to stop you, assuming that they didn't retreat.
Right. And so this overrunning of the border, Border Patrol and the folks down on the border in the invasion, breaking news this afternoon, that now all foot patrol, all pedestrian movement and all auto movement on the roads and on the sidewalks coming in and out of America, in and out of Mexico are all, as of right now, they've been sealed shut.
Yeah, based on that
So if you think
video,
you're going to Tijuana right now, you better turn around.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope it's 100% accurate. I would be taking extreme bold steps at this point if I were Trump. The fact that I am an American citizen and he is my president and it's not happening that I know of is really disturbing. But I would immediately, when you implement martial law, you can do it in very tiny little places. You don't say, all right, martial law is declared, all of America's under martial law. No, you can do that in these tiny little focused areas.
Right.
I would do that.
It would suck to be in San Diego right now because that's where it's going down.
And also, I would ask Congress to fast track a requirement for something like E-Verify. If it has to be, if you're not allowed to use a private company, I think that they should put together an E-Verify clone, basically, that is, and make an entire a department that does nothing but require every single business in the United States to have to run through every hired employee.
So Donald Trump tweeted out, the fake news is showing old footage of people climbing over our ocean area fence. This is what it really looks like. No climbers anymore under our administration. Now, if you remember last week or the week before, we played the video and it went viral.
There was people straddling. It's like bars, vertical bars that go up maybe 20 feet, maybe 20 or 30 feet. And you can grab the sides of the bars and shimmy up it. And when you get to the top, throw your leg over and straddle it. And these were the images that you were seeing. You were seeing people waving, straddling the fence, and they were going up and down either side. And that was what was being portrayed as happening live in real time or whatnot, or very, very briefly.
When in reality, if you're looking at the screen right now, Trump tweeted this picture out and said, this is what's really going on at the border. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There's about 7 layers on one side and probably another 7 layers on the other side of it.
That's 7 layers covering up those bars that people were climbing up.
Right.
So even if you could shimmy up over that, you got 7 layers of concertina wire.
Yeah, concertina wire is, I don't know if you've ever...
Am I saying it wrong?
Concertina.
Oh, okay.
So the concertina wire is something special if you've ever dealt with it. I had to deal with it a lot, not just because I went through Marine Corps boot camp and Marine combat training, but also we were deployed for 30 days in South Korea, which was basically still at war with North Korea. And so I had a lot of dealing with concertina wire. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you even look at it funny, you're stuck. You can't even you can't even look at it funny. If you're walking by it and not paying close attention, it'll snag your clothing, and then you have to spend like 30 seconds trying to meticulously get your fabric off of it. It just sticks to everything. And if you have the misfortune of like falling into it, not only are you stuck there until somebody helps you get out, but you're probably going to be cut up really bad too. It's like, they call it razor wire, but it's concertina wire. And what we had, first of all, when I first saw the military putting it up at the border, I thought they were putting up maybe 1 layer at the top, kind of like what you see at a prison.
Right.
Sometimes they'll have as many as 3 at top. And then also in the areas where there's not a fence or the fence is very minimal, they were stretching 3. It'd be 2 at the base and 1 on top, and stretching that across the border. And I thought, man, if they're not manning that concertina wire, little wire snippers will be the end of that.
Cut right through it, yeah.
Now, 7 layers?
Go!
Ain't happening. And you got to shimmy up 20 feet?
Yeah. So when you get over the 20-foot wall, you then have to somehow cut your way through 7 layers.
You're going to fall and
Yeah.
you are not ever going to move again. You're going to be stuck.
You'll be sliced and diced.
You'll be like that guy that in the fail videos that does a backflip into a giant cactus.
Ooh.
With like 3-inch long needles. He's in it and he starts screaming for his friend to pull him out. He couldn't move. His friend had to, and the more his friend pulled, the more he said, "Oh,
Yeah.
no." And so his friend just basically drug him out of there. It would be worse than that.
So, real quick, Hillary Clinton over in Europe says that Europe needs to get a handle on migration in order to halt the rise of right-wing populists.
What?
Says the woman who wants open borders. I'm thankful she's never being president again, by Mike Allen. Tweeted out by Mike Allen.
So she's actually taking the position of Trump, but for a different reason.
Right.
It's a reverse or something. It's a reverse psychology of some sort. It's like, yes, we need a border wall. We need to curb migration. We need to be xenophobes because if we don't go along with the right wingers,
you're going to get more Trumps.
You're just going to get them even more fired up.
Yeah, we can't fire up the right wingers anymore. So real quick, news you didn't hear about. Muslim refugee stabs a woman 14 times in Minnesota and not a drop of media coverage at all.
Wow.
Rules for radicals. People are asking me, Brian, why is everything all crazy? Why is everything all nuts? What is wrong with these Democrats?
Right. Let's hear this one.
Rules for radical. Logic premise number 1. First off, a society in turmoil and under distress is more receptive to government change.
And that's why they're constantly trying to create crises.
When you get somebody emotional, you can get them to change. Somebody who is unemotional, untied to something. Very difficult to get that individual to change its mind on whatever they're doing.
Was it Anthony Robbins that said that change happens when the pain of not changing exceeds the pain of change?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And part 2 of that, if a...
Cause?
I tell you what, Mac, Apple, you guys got to work on this stupid Pages things because it's rewriting my words.
Yeah.
If a cause can be distressed badly enough for long enough, if citizenry can be distressed badly enough.
Citizenry. I was like, what is that?
Distressed badly enough for long enough, it will surrender its rights and accept almost any government change that promises to end distress. That is the Democrat Party. They have caused all of this anger and hate and the venom and everything from Black Lives Matter to going all the way back to Walk on Wall Street, or what was that, Camp Out on Wall Street, or
Occupy Wall Street.
Occupy Wall Street. All of these things. Remember when Donald Trump was elected the day after the election? Remember all the marches in the streets and the tens of thousands of people? Folks, this is all paid chaos, and it's on purpose to wear you down. What's the answer, Brian? What do we got to do? Get into your Bibles and start reading more, because God will give you the peace. Got to give it up to God, let it go, walk away from it. Do not allow these people to take your country by wearing you down.
Right. It takes discipline. It takes mental discipline to say, nope, I know what I know. I know what I believe. I know what I believe is right because I have facts on my side. And I'm not going to let emotion override logic, which is, that's a big part of growing up. They say that people who are 30 years old and or younger than 30 that are liberal, or if
don't have a heart.
If you're not liberal and you're under 30, you have no heart. If you're not conservative over 30, you have no brain. Right. There's something that happens, and if you're older, you've experienced this, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get to a certain age, and the logic becomes strong enough to override the emotions.
So real quick, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves. Harriet Tubman.
Oh, wow.
Telling you, folks, Fast 3 hours you're going to spend anywhere. Share this with your friends, your family. Smyth Radio, Smyth Radio. Go to the website, Smyth Radio. Check out our new store, Fashionistas. Put together, patriotic, stretchy pants for women.
And you'll see us in
power.
D.C.
Kind of
December 6th through 8th.
It's without fathom.